Chapter 221. Zhou. This name seemed familiar, but it was very unfamiliar. Surnamed Zhou, from the Zhou clan of the Inner Sea? That's not right. All the members of the Zhou clan have the emblem of the Thunder Beast clan on their robes. This person is not from the Zhou clan. He shouldn't be from the internal Endless Sea. In that case, is he a great cultivator from the outer Endless Sea? Mi Lian's mind raced, and when she confirmed that the great cultivator in front of her was only someone from the outer Endless Sea, she felt relieved, and 90% of her original fear immediately dissipated. However, after dispelling the fear in her heart, with Mi Lian's late nascent soul cultivation base, under careful observation, she discovered that the magical energy waves of the young man in front of her was actually only 460 jia, which was lower than her 550 jia. So this person was only a late nascent soul cultivator. That terrifying aura and ferocious aura. Was it just a disguise to scare people? Mi Lian was actually scared by a kid whose magic power is lower than mine. A nascent soul cultivator from the outer sea, Humph, dared to come here to play tricks and meddle in the affairs of the Black Buddha sect. Did he not want to live anymore? A trace of gloom flashed across Mi Lian's fleshy face. Kid, I'm the 9th elder of the Black Buddha sect from the 72 islands of the Inner Sea. Mi Lian, you'd better not meddle in my business. You should know that in the Endless Sea, the worst thing you can't do is to do stupid things when you see injustice. If you offend me, given your late nascent soul cultivation, I have plenty of methods to crush you to death. Really? Ning Fan smiled coldly. Inwardly he was slightly surprised. There was nothing to fear about this tantric lotus. However, there was a ferocious aura coming from this person. It was as if he had the might of a grand cultivator. Of course, even so, the dense lotus was not worth mentioning. However, the Black Buddha sect of the Inner Sea was quite unique. Seeing the cold smile on the young man's face, Mi Lian was secretly enraged. A mere nascent soul cultivator actually dared to put on an act in front of him. He was courting death. Get into formation and kill him. Yes. As soon as Mi Lian gave the order, the 4 black monks wiped the bloodstains from the corners of their mouths. Each of them held a black formation plate in their hands and surrounded Ning Fan from all 4 corners. Then they activated their magic power. Suddenly, a black formation mark that was 1,000 zhang wide extended in the sky with Ning Fan as the center. Ning Fan's eyes flashed, but he did not avoid it. This formation pattern was simple and profound. Legend has it that it was the sound of evil ghosts wailing. The formation light produced gusts of black wind. Each of the gusts of black wind would turn into black pythons that were as thick as the mouth of a bowl. Tens of thousands of black pythons were sticking out their tongues and dripping with black saliva. All of them rushed towards Ning Fan to bite him. This array was laid out by 4 upper nascent soul level array discs. When stacked, it wasn't any weaker than a peak nascent soul level array. Furthermore, the black python was neither a python nor a venomous one. It was actually formed from the evil thoughts of the dead. Thus, even though the grade of this formation wasn't high, even great cultivators weren't willing to be trapped in it. Once they were captured by the evil thoughts, their bodies wouldn't be injured, but their Tao hearts would be tainted. Inner demons would be born, and it was even possible for them to immediately go mad, or even have their Tao heart shattered. If one's Tao heart was shattered, even if they did not die, they would be severely injured. As soon as the formation was activated, Mi Lian sneered. If Ning Fan did not leave the range of the formation immediately, he would no longer have the chance to break free from it the moment the grand formation is activated, unless he is a divine transformation realm expert. Zhou Ming, who had come to rescue them, was trapped in the formation as soon as they met. The 2 middle-stage nascent soul female cultivators of the Bai Yao sect immediately turned pale. And not good. This is the Black Buddha sect's mind confusion formation. It uses the evil thoughts of the corpses and evil spirits. Even great cultivators wouldn't be able to resist it. Let's not talk about whether this young man is really that crazy devil Zhou Ming. Even if he is, once he is trapped in this formation, he won't be able to resist the evil thoughts unless he has a spiritual treasure to protect himself. Even Bai Yao, who was poisoned by the lust poison, narrowed her beautiful eyes. She forced herself to stay upright, wishing that she could lift her sword to help Ningfan. Her chivalrous heart was very similar to In Suchio's. Brat! You can die in peace now that you're able to die in the mind confusion formation. Mi Lian burst into laughter. The fat on his tummy jiggled. However, at the next moment he choked on his laughter. Facing the black pythons that were filled with evil thoughts, Ningfan did not dodge them at all. He just sneered. The Earth star in his right eye suddenly flashed with black light. It was as if a vortex of star power was formed. The terrifying suction force sucked all the black pythons into his right eye. The originally pale yellow stars gradually turned dark and flickered with a sinister light. These evil thoughts can be used as nourishment for cultivating the three corpses pupil technique. However, it's still not enough. However, this mind confusion formation is not bad for condensing evil thoughts. I want this formation. At this moment, Ningfan's eyes flashed with a cold light. He took a step forward and the silver light trembled. The force of this step was clearly stepping on the void, but it caused the surrounding heaven and earth to tremble. Under this step, the so-called 1000 Zhang formation light and the dense black formation marks immediately collapsed. As for the four nascent middle realm black monks who laid the formation, they immediately spurted out blood and retreated. Their faces were filled with shock. As for Mi Lian, he was completely stunned. The mind confusion formation of ghosts was actually broken by someone from the inside. That was evil thoughts. It could confuse one's mind and give birth to the evil thoughts in one's heart. An ordinary early nascent soul realm cultivator would lose his mind after being hit by a single evil black python. Even a mid-nascent soul realm cultivator would not be able to withstand 10 black pythons. A late nascent soul realm cultivator's Dao heart would definitely collapse when hundreds of black pythons entered his body. Even a peak nascent soul realm cultivator would only end up in madness if thousands of pythons attacked his body. However, this extremely terrifying evil thoughts were completely devoured by the young man. This grand formation that was comparable to the peak nascent soul realm was actually shattered by this man's step. There's no mistake. The force of that step was definitely not weaker than the fourth realm of the Silverbone realm. It could even be the peak Silverbone realm. There's actually such a terrifying body refinement expert in the external endless sea. Could this man be a talented junior that the giant devil clan planted in the Pleasure Devil Sea? Mi Lian's mind was greatly shaken. But at the next moment, a sense of life and death crisis surged into her heart, causing her hair to stand on end. After shattering the formation light, Ningfan closed his eyes slightly. When he opened them again, his aura was indifferent and boundless. At this moment, Ningfan was like an immortal ancient sword that was hanging in the sky. When he took a step forward, the great force of heaven and earth within 1,000 li was drawn and turned into sword light, slashing towards Mi Lian and the others. Being caught off guard, Mi Lian spurted out a mouthful of blood. He had already suffered a serious injury. Mi Lian's eyes twitched. What kind of sword technique is this? When he took a step forward, the great force turned into a sword. It seemed like only the divine transformation realm cultivators of the Sword Island of the Internal Sea could master such a sword technique. Could it be that this man is not a member of the giant devil clan, but a member of the Sword Island? When he thought of the two words Sword Island, Mi Lian felt a chill run down his spine. However, before he could think about it, Ningfan had already taken the second step. His body was like a shadow. After taking the third and fourth step, he had already taken the fifth step. When he took the first step, Mi Lian's expression changed drastically. He opened his mouth and spat out a black relic. It was a protective treasure that he had condensed using a secret technique of the Buddha sect. However, under the sword chi of the fifth step, the relic that was strong enough to withstand a strike from a nascent soul realm expert was shattered. The remaining force even caused Mi Lian to spurt out a mouthful of blood. As for the four mid-nascent soul realm black monks who were standing at the four corners of the hall, their physical bodies turned into mists of blood. As their physical bodies were destroyed, the four nascent soul realm monks who had pale faces were filled with fear. The young man in front of them did not use any magic power. He was just using his powerful magic power to turn the great force into a sword, and it was already so powerful. Is he a divine transformation realm expert. Apart from divine transformation realm experts, who else could have such a technique? Run. No matter how foolish Mi Lian was, he knew that Ning Fan was not someone he could mess with. It was also because he had just arrived at the external endless sea, and did not know about Zhou Ming's power. If he knew about Zhou Ming's name, he would probably have run away a long time ago. However, Ning Fan's speed was even faster. The 6th step, wind movement. The 7th step, snow melting. The 8th step, sea roll. The 9th step, sword collapse. The 9 steps of heaven treading 9 steps were like a sword. As the sword chi spread out, the black snow within a 1,000 li radius was swept away. This was the sword of great force. The might of a single sword strike killed the 4 nascent soul realm experts. Mi Lian's plump physical body and his nascent soul were shattered. However, when his physical body was destroyed, a black shadow escaped in a panic. It was a black nascent soul. This nascent soul had the same appearance as Mi Lian. However, Ning Fan had already destroyed one of his nascent souls. A second nascent soul, huh? Interesting. The people of the Black Buddha sect of the Internal Sea must be proficient in this secret technique. However, the number of nascent soul realm experts in this world doesn't necessarily mean that their magic techniques are powerful. Freeze. A finger frees the body. Mi Lian's nascent soul that was escaping in a panic was caught by Ning Fan with a flick of his sleeve. The small face of the nascent soul realm expert was filled with fear. However, it could not escape from Ning Fan's palm. He was a late nascent soul realm expert, but his second nascent soul realm expert had already cultivated to the peak nascent soul realm. Even peak nascent soul realm experts would not be able to catch up to him. Mi Lian had never heard of such a technique before. You can't kill me. If you kill me, the divine transformation realm elders of my sect will certainly. Noisy. Soul search. Ning Fan did not have the mood to talk nonsense with him at all. The reason why he wasted some time was because he was slightly interested in the chaotic minds of ghosts and the second nascent soul. This person's memories were not sealed by a powerful being like the eagle and the crane. It seemed like the foundation of the Black Buddha sect was far weaker than the demon sealing sect. After reading the memories, Ning Fan opened his mouth and swallowed, crushing the black infant. Then he rolled his sleeve and 5 storage pouches went into his hand. Pills, magic treasures, immortal jade and even the chaotic minds of ghosts formation, and the secret technique of the second nascent soul of the Black Buddha sect naturally fell into Ning Fan's hands. The so-called waste of time was just compared to Ning Fan's usual instantaneous killing. To Su Yao and the other women, the scene in front of them was already shocking enough. The vast sky was silent and the black snow did not stop falling. The young man who stood proudly in the snow had destroyed the grand formation and killed the 5 nascent souls in just a few breaths. 4 of them were mid-nascent soul realm experts, a late nascent soul realm expert, and even a late nascent soul realm expert who had cultivated the second nascent soul of the peak nascent soul realm expert. However, they did not even have the chance to use their techniques before they were easily killed by the young man. Is this the Zhou Ming who has been spreading like wildfire in the external endless sea? The 2 guest elders of the Bai Yao sect, Han Mu and Su Fei, were trembling. When Ning Fan's gaze swept across them, their trembling had reached its peak. It was not difficult for this man to kill the 2 of them. The so-called number 1 cultivator below the spirit-severing realm definitely lived up to his reputation. When they thought of the notorious reputation of this man, the 2 women became even more terrified. When Ning Fan approached them step by step, the 2 women hid behind Su Yao with an unnatural expression. Su Yao's face was as pale as a piece of paper. She endured the lust poison and bowed towards Ning Fan with great reluctance, but she did not lose her elegance. Thank you for saving us, fellow Taoist Zhou Ming. Fairy Su Yao is indeed worthy of being the master of a sect. Regardless of your cultivation realm, your aura is not weak at all. It's even stronger than the 2 women behind you. However, you don't have to thank me. I never save people for free. Do you understand? If he did not save them for free, he would have to ask for compensation. The only thing that could slightly move Ning Fan's heart was themselves. Ning Fan's eyes swept across the female cultivators, and his heart was secretly moved. These three women were not only beautiful, but also had extraordinary cultivation realm. All of them were excellent human cauldrons. If he plucked them, he could increase his magic power by 60 units. However, he used the mind-reading technique to pry into Su Yao's thoughts and found out that the reason why she risked her life to enter the Pleasure Devil Sea was to buy a Dao fruit for In Suqiu to form her nascent soul. This woman had good intentions towards In Suqiu and they had a close relationship. If that's the case, plucking this woman would go against his Dao heart. Is Suqiu going to form her nascent soul? Unfortunately, I don't have any Dao fruit with me. Otherwise, I could ask Su Yao to bring one to Suqiu. Su Yao's cheeks blushed slightly when Ning Fan's gaze swept across her. However, she still maintained her composure. As for the two women behind her, their hearts trembled with fear and anger. This man's gaze is so rude. Asking for compensation after saving people is even more shameless. However, when they thought of Zhou Ming's notorious reputation as a lecher, their gaze was not strange anymore. Even a fool would understand that Ning Fan's so-called compensation was probably because he wanted their nascent soul bodies. I understand fellow Taoist Zhou's intention. Su Yao has also heard of fellow Taoist's dissolute reputation. If it wasn't for fellow Taoist Zhou, all the women of my Bai Yao sect would have lost their chastity and fall into the evil hands of the evil monk. Therefore, even if fellow Taoist insists on asking for compensation, it's not unreasonable. I just hope that fellow Taoist can let the other female disciples go. As the price, Su Yao is willing to replace everyone and become your human cauldron. Sect master, you can't. The two female cultivators' faces immediately turned pale. Shut up. Pass down my order. From today onwards, I'm no longer the sect master of Bai Yao sect. I'm just fellow Taoist Zhou's human cauldron. As for the position of sect master, if Elder In Suqiu successfully forms her nascent soul, she will be appointed as the next sect master. Su Yao endured the lust poison and said seriously. In her opinion, with Ning Fan's strength, it would be a piece of cake for him to control the women. Although it was ungentlemanly for him to ask for compensation after saving people, it wasn't wrong. Why couldn't she ask for compensation after saving people? She might as well be poisoned by the lust poison. If she doesn't have intercourse with a man, it would be difficult for her to escape death. When she was poisoned by the lust poison, she already knew that she was going to die. If she could use her purity and cultivation realm to exchange for the purity and lives of the other female disciples from Ning Fan's hands, she would finally have some value. After being plucked by Ning Fan, it would be enough for her to die. It could also be considered as a life where she could roam freely without leaving any stain. Su Yao was different from In Suqiu. In Suqiu was sometimes impulsive, but Su Yao was always quiet and quiet. However, the thing that she had in common with In Suqiu was the chivalrous heart of sacrificing herself for others. Even if she couldn't bear to lose her purity, it would still be a blessing if she could save the women from Zhou Ming's evil claws. She didn't expect Zhou Ming to let her go for In Suqiu's sake. The human heart was the most difficult thing to predict, and Zhou Ming's notoriety was indeed too great. Would he really let go of the great human cauldron in front of him for a woman? Moreover, Su Yao didn't have much confidence that Ning Fan would let go of the other women just because of her. However, all of her thoughts were calm on her face. She was pale and quiet. However, in her delicate state, her majesty was inviolable. Is this the demeanor of a sect master? Ning Fan nodded silently. This woman was indeed In Suqiu and In Suqiu. There weren't many women with such heroic spirit in the Rain world. Sacrificing oneself for others and persisting in the righteous path. It was easy to say but difficult to do. Even though Ning Fan coveted the nascent soul realm female cultivators of the Green Jade Immortal Island, he wouldn't go so far as to pluck all of Su Yao's cultivation realm for a mere 20 units of magic power and make Suqiu sad. Even if he does accept Su Yao, she probably wouldn't be a human cauldron. Su Yao endured humiliation and offered herself as a human cauldron just to save the disciples of her sect. Such a chivalrous heart was rare in this cold and indifferent cultivation world. She was obviously suffering from the lust poison, but she still pretended to be calm. This kind of stubbornness was very similar to In Suqiu. They were indeed good sisters. Ning Fan ignored the hypocrites of the righteous path. but he still respected those who truly persisted in the righteous path. At least he knew that he couldn't do something like wholeheartedly serving others. His heart was too selfish. Since Fairy Su Yao is willing to be my human cauldron, I naturally won't refuse. Whoever can marry someone like Fairy Su Yao would be lucky for 3 lifetimes. Ning Fan smiled faintly. Su Yao secretly scolded him for being frivolous, but her expression didn't show any anger. Is that so? Then are you willing to let the others go? Of course I will let them go. As for plucking Fairy Su Yao, let's leave it for next time. Disperse. Ning Fan withdrew his smile and waved his sleeve. A vast amount of primordial force was extracted from heaven and earth, and went into the bodies of the 30+ gold core realm female cultivators. With a tremble, the black sand was forced out. Then, a gray light flashed. He took a step forward and teleported to the front of Su Yao, holding her slender waist. When Su Yao saw Ning Fan detoxifying the poison of the female gold core realm disciples, she felt relieved. In this way, her innocence was exchanged for the lives of her disciples. However, before she could express her gratitude, Ning Fan had already approached her. When Ning Fan's arm moved and held her slender waist, Su Yao's body immediately tensed up. She let out a soft moan, and the lust poison that she had painstakingly suppressed poured out. Her lower body was already covered in mud. She thought that Ning Fan was probably going to take advantage of her. What she was most afraid of was that Ning Fan would humiliate and play with her under the watchful eyes of the public. If that happened, the last trace of her dignity would probably be violated. However, she did not resist. This was her personality. Even if she was unwilling, she knew that she could not resist. However, what surprised Su Yao was that Ning Fan did not do anything else after hugging her. He just circulated his finger force and touched her soft waist to seal the flow of the lust poison. Su Yao had never seen such a high level of medical skill in her life. Perhaps even the Fourth Revolution pill refinement masters in the sect could not be compared to him in terms of massaging. Fellow Taoist Zhou, are you thinking of doing it here with me? In the end, Su Yao could not bring herself to say the words "do it with me." However, after her meridians were sealed by Ning Fan, the lust poison was no longer under her control. She instantly felt at ease. Fairy Su's poison has been temporarily sealed by me. However, this poison is extremely domineering. It can only be detoxified with some special methods. If Fairy Su is willing, why don't you come to the Joyful Union Immortal Island and stay there for a while? Then, you can look for me to detoxify the poison for you. For now, I hope that Fairy Su can lead the way and bring the disciples of your sect to the Joyful Union Immortal Island. As for me, I still have some small matters to deal with. I will go to the Joyful Union Immortal Island later and meet you there. Yes. Su Yao pursed her lips. It was already a good thing that she did not have to be plucked by Ning Fan in the monstrous waves. However, if she knew that Ning Fan could have let her go, but she had misunderstood Ning Fan's character. That was why she recommended herself to sleep with him. If she knew about it, how ashamed would she be? She would never know if she did not know about it. However, just the gratitude of saving her life and detoxifying the poison were 2 times. From a moral point of view, even if she were to repay him with her body, it would also be in line with morality. Even if she was unwilling, Ning Fan turned his body to the side and made way for the ladies. At that moment, the 2 elders and female cultivators secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Initially, they thought that Ning Fan's appearance would lure the tiger to kill the wolf. Now, it seemed like this tiger only had his eyes on Su Yao and let the 2 of them go. The 2 ladies felt ashamed and grateful towards Su Yao for sacrificing herself to save them. As for Ning Fan, they were filled with fear and criticism. The female corpse remained silent from the beginning to the end. Her eyes were fixed on Ning Fan alone. As for Yulong, his horizons were broadened once again. After becoming Ning Fan's servant, he was filled with admiration towards his master. He killed the 5 nascent souls with just a wave of his hand. Moreover, the 5 nascent souls were the devils of the internal endless sea. Moreover, that cauldron was the sect master of the Bai Yao sect, one of the 10 sects and 3 islands. She was a respected figure in the external endless sea. Her beauty was like a painting that countless men admired but could not see. His heart was filled with admiration. Inwardly, he was thinking if he should flatter Ning Fan a little. However, before he could finish his words, Ning Fan's voice interrupted his thoughts. Yulong, you are familiar with the sea route. Bring the fairies of the Bai Yao sect to the Pleasure Union Immortal Island. If anyone dares to block the way again, tell them that they are my women. This item contains a trace of my qi. If there are cultivators of the internal endless sea, who don't know me and block the way, just crush this jade and I will know. Yes, yes. This old servant will definitely complete the mission with honor. After receiving the jade pendant, Yulong led the ladies away respectfully. He did not ask what Ning Fan was going to do by staying behind. As for Su Yao, she was inwardly grateful to Ning Fan for sending people to escort them. With this trace of Qi and Zhou Ming's prestige, the cultivators of the external endless sea were nothing to worry about. As for the cultivators of the internal endless sea, they would probably be wary after sensing his qi. She realized that Ning Fan's character did not seem to be as bad as what the rumors said. This person might have countless women, but he seemed to be extremely protective of the women he loves, and was not fickle in love. Su Yao could not help but recall the day when she first met Ning Fan. This person was covered in mermaid blood, and was severely injured. Yet he escorted In Suchio to the Bai Yao Immortal Island. This person might be fickle in love, but he might also be unexpectedly devoted to one's love. However, if Ning Fan is really devoted to one's love, he would probably not pluck the ladies for the sake of In Suchio and saving her. It seems like I have overthought it. Is it unnecessary to recommend myself as a human cauldron? In other words, even if I don't offer my body, I can still ensure the safety of the ladies. However, I self-righteously offered my body to him. Su Yao pursed her lips and her cheeks flushed red. In other words, even if Ning Fan really plucked me, it was because I was willing, and he did not force me. How could I do such a stupid thing? I wonder if he has another method to cure me of the poison, or he just wanted to have sex with me for a moment. Su Yao was worried about her gains and losses. She felt annoyed, but she did not scold Ning Fan secretly. He saved me twice. He doesn't owe me anything. Sect Master, let's leave now and hide in the sect for a while. With the old ancestors' protection, no matter how strong Zhou Ming is, he won't dare to come and cause trouble. But I have already promised him. Besides, I still need to buy a Dao fruit for little sister Suchio. There is no antidote for this falling chastity powder. Perhaps my life will be taken by him. Su Yao spoke incoherently and her mind was in a mess, but she did not run away. If she was afraid, she would not have come to the Pleasure Devil Sea. After the ladies left, Ning Fan held the female corpse and stood in the black snow. When Su Yao and the others were nowhere to be seen, Ning Fan raised his brows and looked at a certain black cloud in the sky. His eyes flashed with cold light. Still not coming out? Are you forcing me to make a move? Fellow Taoist Zhou Ming, you have such sharp insight. Extraordinary, extraordinary. This old man Su Russian greets fellow Taoist Zhou Ming. The black cloud shattered. A black-robed old man slowly appeared. The moment this person appeared, the heavenly primordial energy shattered. The sea waves rumbled and the black snow rolled. The old ancestor of the Pleasure Devil sect, Su Russian. This person was actually lying in wait. Fellow Taoist Su, do you want to become my enemy? Ning Fan said coldly. As expected of the number one expert below the spirit-severing realm. Seeing you and hearing your reputation, fellow Taoist is indeed worth it. This old man will try to rope you in. This old man has a request. If you can fulfill it, this old man will give fellow Taoist 50 drops of Mother Earth nether milk. 50 drops was equivalent to 500 units of magic power. Even Ning Fan could not help but be tempted. Chapter 222. The black clouds dispersed, revealing an old man in black robes. His hair was as white as silver and he was bony. However, his body carried a heavy aura. It was not sharp, but it was as heavy as a mountain. It was as if he could shatter the heavens and the earth with just a punch or a finger. His old eyes that were supposed to be cloudy were as sharp as an eagle's. On his glabella, half an illusory black star shone faintly. Just by standing there, He had a kind of natural Tao aura. A trace of magnetic force caused the magnetic force in the deep-sea mind to become chaotic. That magnetic force pierced into Ning Fan's sea of consciousness. Even if it was not intentional, it still caused his spirit sense to feel a slight pain. Early divine transformation realm. Su Rushan. Ning Fan's expression was as calm as still water. This person gave him an extremely strong sense of pressure. It was as if the person standing in front of him was not a person but a mountain. The power that pierced his spirit sense was clearly the magnetic force. It was extremely extraordinary. It was because the half-black star on his glabella was extremely similar to the immemorial devil star. This person did not possess the immemorial divine devil veins, but he had condensed half of the immemorial devil star. Even if it was just half, it was enough to prove that this person was extremely talented. Ning Fan pondered about the purpose of this person's visit without any fear. This Su Rushan was indeed powerful. His strength alone was enough to defeat all nascent soul realm cultivators in the external endless sea. In terms of aura force, he was much stronger than the inanimate stone warrior. Of course, this person's strength should be on par with the stone warrior. His aura force was still external, and his strength was still weaker than the female corpse. Even if Ning Fan fought him alone with the help of the Yuan Yao world, he had a 30% chance of killing this person. Of course, the probability of dying in his hands was not low either. A nascent soul realm cultivator against a divine transformation realm cultivator would either win or die. 30% chance of winning and 70% chance of dying. Starting from the late nascent soul realm, every step forward would be a world of difference. As for Su Rushan, he was an existence that was one level higher than Ning Fan. This person came to look for him with a strange attitude. He asked for a favor and promised to give him 50 drops of Mother Earth nether milk. With 500 units of magic power, Ning Fan could even try to break through the bottleneck of the peak nascent soul realm and truly step into the grand cultivation realm. As for this person who was a divine transformation realm cultivator, if he did not know that Ning Fan was a 5th revolution pill master, then he must have come for the secret realm of the broken world. Only the secret realm of the broken world was worth it for him to use his divine transformation realm cultivation base. It was because divine transformation realm experts were not allowed to enter this secret realm. As the strongest expert below the divine transformation realm, Ning Fan was the most reliable force he could rely on. However, this Su Rushan had been hiding here for quite a long time. He should have appeared when Su Yao and the others were in danger. After all, as one of the 10 sects of the outer endless sea, he wouldn't let the Biao sect leader be humiliated in the pleasure devil ocean. However, Ning Fan's appearance had dispelled his original intention of saving them. There were 2 reasons why he did not immediately help Ning Fan and the others to eliminate the enemies. Firstly, it was to observe Ning Fan's strength to see if he had the qualifications to rope him in. Secondly, he wanted to borrow Ning Fan's hands to kill someone. Because of this, Ning Fan had to bear the great enemy of the Black Buddha sect. After searching through the Lotus memories, Ning Fan found out that a certain spirit-severing realm-old monster of the Black Buddha sect would come to the Pleasure Devil Sea in a few days' time. It was for the so-called spirit-severing realm cauldron auction. This matter was extremely secretive. Only sects like the Black Buddha sect were qualified to know about it. Moreover, before Ning Fan came here, he did not even know about the existence of a good item like the spirit-severing realm cauldron. What he needed to pay attention to was that the spirit-severing realm expert of the Black Buddha sect who came late would most likely come back to seek trouble after knowing that the experts of his sect had been killed. Su Rushan probably wanted to use the threat of the Black Buddha sect to threaten him. The so-called request of this person was actually just a form of coercion and temptation. Oh, Senior Su has something to ask of me. May I know what it is? I would be happy to listen to it. Ning Fan smiled and cupped his fists at Su Rushan with a calm expression. Su Rushan's expression remained the same. However, he secretly took a deep breath. This Zhou Ming is really calm. Facing the pressure of my spirit-severing realm and the magnetic force, he is actually so calm. One should know that other peak nascent soul realm experts could not even calm their minds when they are 3,000 zhang away from Su Rushan. However, this Zhou Ming was calm and composed when he was 500 zhang away from him. Judging from this, the title of the strongest person below the spirit-severing realm was indeed well-deserved. The more Su Rushan looked at Ningfan, the more he felt incredulous. From Ningfan's body, he could sense demon blood, corpse qi, devil qi, sword qi, and many other kinds of qi. From this, it seemed that this person had learned a lot of different things. Among the different kinds of qi, there seemed to be a few that gave Su Rushan a sense of danger. In other words, the Ningfan in front of him seemed to be harmless, but in reality, he could even hurt him if he went all out. If that was the case, it was understandable that he was not afraid of Su Rushan. Su Rushan's expression did not change. With a probing heart, he stepped on the air step by step, closing the distance between him and Ningfan. 400 zhang, 300 zhang. When he was only 300 zhang away from Ningfan, Su Rushan stopped and his eyes turned cold. Being so close to Ningfan, his aura force fell on Ningfan's body without any reservation. However, Ningfan did not even bat an eyelid and still had a calm smile on his face. On the contrary, the closer Su Rushan got to Ningfan, the stronger the sense of danger he felt. Moreover, an absurd feeling rose in his heart. If he was 10 zhang closer to Ningfan, he was afraid that his life would be in danger. Hiss. Not only does this man have the means to hurt me, but he also has the means to kill me. Su Rushan slowly withdrew his aura force. His eyes were solemn. At this moment he no longer had a trace of arrogance towards Ningfan. It was as if he was looking at someone of the same generation. He cupped his fists at Ningfan and replied, "Fellow Taoist Zhou, good composure. Good technique." Only spirit-severing realm cultivators could make him cupped his fists. Below spirit-severing realm, Ningfan was the first one. Hehe. Senior Su is too courteous. You haven't answered my question yet. May I know what is Senior's request? Could it be related to the secret realm of the broken world? This is a secret. Fellow Taoist Zhou, please dismiss the irrelevant people first. Su Rushan glanced at the female corpse and shook his head. This woman did not have any trace of magic power, but she could step on the air. It was a little strange, but she was most likely Ningfan's concubine. A mere woman should not listen to a man's discussion. She is not an outsider. I have already dismissed the outsiders. Ningfan's smile did not diminish. Su Yao and Yulong, who he had met a few times, were outsiders, but the female corpse was not. If that's the case, I won't be shy anymore. Why don't you come to my heavenly dwelling magical treasure and have a chat? Su Rushan took out a palm-sized golden house and gave it a pat. That golden house expanded in the wind. He gestured for Ningfan to enter, but Ningfan shook his head. Let's talk here. If anyone tries to eavesdrop, just kill them. Su Rushan's expression did not change. He chuckled and kept the golden house. His heart, however, was filled with astonishment for 3 times. The first astonishment was that a nascent soul realm cultivator like Ningfan was not surprised to see a heavenly dwelling magical treasure. One should know that this treasure was not something that ordinary spirit-severing realm cultivators could possess. It was given to him by venerable giant. The second astonishment was that Ningfan had such a strong vigilance. He actually did not enter the heavenly dwelling magical treasure of others. Moreover, he seemed to have a deep understanding of the heavenly dwelling magical treasure, and knew that it could be used to set up a formation to attack the enemy. The third astonishment was that Ningfan's words were filled with dense killing intent. He was a cultivator who had experienced the blood sea and was decisive in killing. With such strength and temperament, he would most likely succeed if I entrust this matter to him. It seems like I can only entrust this matter to him. Otherwise, I won't be able to gather 200 wild beast demon cores even if I kill him. Venerable Giant is desperately urging me. Su Rushan and Ningfan did not talk much. However, after probing, observing and analyzing Ningfan's actions, he had a basic understanding of Ningfan's character and strength. He hesitated for a moment. Then he patted his storage pouch and took out a dark golden jade slip. There were 3 golden patterns carved on the jade slip. One of them had already been broken. This golden pattern was called Jade Slip Fragment Pattern. It was used to prevent others from peeking into the jade slip. Not even spirit-severing realm cultivators could break this golden pattern. 3 golden patterns meant that this jade slip could only be read 3 times. After 3 times, the golden patterns were all gone and the jade slip was broken. Since one of them had already been broken, it was naturally Su Rushan who read it. Other than Su Rushan, no one else had read it before. It was enough to show how precious this jade slip was. Moreover, Ning Fan could faintly smell a trace of devil chi from the jade slip. Just a trace of it was enough to cause Ning Fan's completely stabilized nascent soul to crumble. The cultivator who carved this jade slip had such a strong devil chi. At least in the endless outer sea, Ning Fan had never seen any cultivator who had such terrifying devil chi. He did not take the jade slip immediately. Instead, he shook his head. Obviously, he knew that this jade slip was related to a significant matter. Once he read it, he would not be able to erase the responsibility, regardless of whether he agreed to Su Rushan's request or not. Senior, please tell me about this matter first. Otherwise, this matter is of great importance. I dare not be reckless. Oh. Fellow Taoist, being so cautious is enough to show that you are a person who can entrust important matters to me. Zai. To tell you the truth, this matter is indeed related to the secret realm of the broken world. Speaking of which, it is just to hunt for the demon cores of wild beasts. But, Zai, the number of demon cores to be hunted is really a little too big, and the deadline is really too rushed. Number? Deadline? Ning Fan muttered to himself. If the matter that Su Rushan asked him to do was to hunt for demon cores, there was no need for him to go through so much trouble. What kind of huge number would make Su Rushan lose his composure like that? The secret realm of the broken world opens once every 50 years. Every time it opens, 40 people can enter, and it can last for a year to allow cultivators to enter and hunt for demon cores. This time, due to the urgency of the situation, the secret realm is forced to open half a year in advance. Thus, the secret realm is not stable, and it can only last for half a year. Within half a year, I must gather 200 demon cores of wild beasts. If I may be so bold to ask, fellow Taoist, are you confident in killing 200 wild beasts within half a year? Half a year? 200 demon cores? Kill 200 wild beasts. Senior Su, you think too highly of me. Ning Fan's eyes finally flashed with a hint of surprise. He did not expect that Su Rushan would ask him to kill 200 wild beasts within half a year. Doesn't this mean that once I enter the secret realm of the broken world, I have to kill one wild beast that is comparable to a divine transformation realm expert every day? I'm afraid it's still not enough, killing 200 divine transformation realm experts. If Ning Fan had such strength, he would have already slaughtered his way into the internal endless sea and become a lord instead of entering the secret realm of the broken world. Ning Fan remained silent for a while and did not express his opinion. Su Rushan, on the other hand, became a little anxious. He had finally witnessed Ning Fan's strength. He could even give him a sense of danger. It was definitely not an exaggeration to say that Ning Fan was the strongest person below the divine transformation realm. Ordinary peak nascent soul cultivators who could kill a wild beast before entering the secret realm were all experts. In the past, Su Rushan could only purchase around 10 demon cores from tens of peak nascent soul cultivators every time the secret realm was opened. However, this time he must obtain 200 demon cores in one go. Otherwise, he would lose his life. Other than asking for Ning Fan's help, he really did not place any hope on anyone else. The other peak nascent soul cultivators, including the descendants of the 7 venerated beings of the internal sea, were not as strong as Ning Fan. As a divine transformation realm cultivator, and the trusted aid of venerated giant, one of the 7 venerated beings of the internal sea, Su Rushan rarely lowered his head to others. Today, however, it was his first time smiling at someone. Fellow Taoist Zhou Ming, if you help me this time, I will owe you a great favor. If you are in trouble in the future, I will definitely come to your aid even if I have to climb a mountain of swords or go through a sea of flames. I can swear on my great heart devil oath for this. Moreover, if you accomplish this task, one of the 7 venerated beings of the internal sea will look favorably upon you. Even if you enter the internal sea, you will be considered to have a great backer. Of course, if you find it difficult to hunt 200 demon cores, I will think of other ways to hunt tens of demon cores from others. But at the very least, fellow Taoist needs to hunt 150 demon cores. As a reward, other than exchanging 1 drop of Mother Earth nether milk for each demon core, I will give fellow Taoist an additional 50 drops of nether milk. 200 drops of nether milk is equivalent to 2,000 units of magic power. With this nether milk, fellow Taoist can easily break through to the peak nascent soul realm. Ning Fan remained silent, but his eyes were burning with passion. He still needed to consider this matter carefully. Su Rushan might look humble when he asked for help, but if he agrees to help but fails to fulfill his promise, Su Rushan would probably go mad and vent his anger on him. Even if the number of 200 wild beasts was reduced to 150, it was still not a small number. Even though these wild beasts were just fake wild beasts, and it was not difficult for Ning Fan to kill them individually, who knew if the wild beasts lived in groups in the secret realm? Perhaps he could occasionally hunt a lone beast. However, if he wants to hunt 200 of them, he would most likely encounter a group of wild beasts. A group of ferocious beasts that were comparable to divine transformation realm experts. Just the thought of it made his scalp tingle. If he could bring the stone warrior and the female corpse into the secret realm, it would be much easier. However, experts above the divine transformation realm could not enter the secret realm. Thus he would probably have to rely on himself. Should he agree to it or reject it? If he rejects it, he would miss the opportunity to obtain more than 200 drops of nether milk. 200 drops of nether milk would be equivalent to 2,000 units of magic power. If he completes this task, he would be considered to have completed 1/5 of the path to the divine transformation realm. As for Su Rushan's favor, to be honest, Ning Fan really did not think that an early divine transformation realm cultivator's favor was valuable. While Ning Fan was thinking, the female corpse was quietly pulling the corner of her clothes while Su Rushan was feeling nervous. It would be great if he could enter the secret realm. It would not be difficult for him to kill the fake wild beasts. However, divine transformation realm cultivators could not enter the secret realm. It was rare for a divine transformation realm cultivator like him to appear in the endless sea in just a few thousand years. If he were to miss this opportunity and look for others, Su Rushan would not have the confidence. He was a divine transformation realm expert, and one of the 13 experts of the external endless sea. However, in front of venerated giant, he could easily destroy him with just a flick of his finger. I need to understand the habits, strength and methods of the wild beasts first before I can confirm if I have the ability to kill 200 wild beasts. Before that, I would like to take a look at Senior Su's jade slip. Of course, even if I have seen it, I can't guarantee that I will definitely agree to it. Thus, it is up to Senior to decide whether to let me have a look at the jade slip. Blue veins twitched on Su Rushan's forehead. This Zhou is really too indecisive. However, if he were to put himself in Ning Fan's shoes, he would probably be even more cautious and hesitant than Ning Fan. Take it. Remember, do not reveal the contents of the jade slip. Otherwise, even if you are a divine transformation realm cultivator, I will still hunt you down to the ends of the world. Senior, don't worry. My mouth is the most reliable. What a strong spirit sense. Ning Fan pressed the jade slip on his glabella, and his eyes narrowed. As soon as he probed the jade slip, an incomparably ferocious spirit sense surged towards his face. Within this spirit sense, there was a domineering black spirit sense. The spirit sense was ferocious and masculine. As soon as it appeared, Ning Fan's nascent soul felt like it was about to collapse. His heart felt like it was being pressed down by Mount Tai. He took a few steps back while the blood and qi in his chest churned. However, he still couldn't get rid of the ferocious spirit sense. Rain intent flashed in his eyes. Within 1,000 li, the black snow stopped and light rain fell. Ning Fan stopped retreating. Divine rain intent. Su Rushan's eagle-like pupils shrank. On the 8th step, Ning Fan's divine rain intent had already dissolved the domineering spirit sense in the spirit sense. Su Rushan couldn't imagine that Ning Fan, who had yet to reach divine transformation realm, had already condensed a spirit sense. Moreover, he only took 8 steps back under the domineering spirit sense of the venerated giant. One should know that even Su Rushan was forced to take 7 steps back by the furious venerated giant's spirit sense, when he first touched the jade slip. Moreover, Ning Fan himself only took 7 steps back, because he had used his spirit sense to defend himself. This person really hid his strength well. If he released his spirit sense from the beginning, he would only take 3 steps back. If it was in the past, Su Rushan would probably want to dissect Ning Fan to find out his secrets. Now he couldn't wait for Ning Fan to become stronger. The stronger he is, the greater the chance of success in obtaining demon cores from him. He remained silent and waited for Ning Fan to read the jade slip. As for Ning Fan, he frowned and remained silent after reading it. The person who imprinted the jade slip, and the owner of the ferocious spirit sense, was one of the 7 venerated beings of the internal sea. Venerated giant Juqing of the giant devil clan. The first sentence in the jade slip was a curse. Little Shanzi, I'm telling you. Half a year. If you can't gather 200 demon cores to save my little Shuiyan's life within half a year, I'll twist your head off. Feng Shuiyan, the daughter of venerated giant of the giant devil clan, was suffering from an acute illness, and she needed demon cores to save her life. As her illness worsened, she would need at least 200 demon cores this time. Venerated giant had given his order. If Su Rushan couldn't gather the demon cores by then, he would be prepared to lose his head. Chapter 223. If that's the case, fellow Taoist Zhou, once you've made up your mind, you can come to the island's blissful summit to look for me. As for this letter, it's my token. If you run into any trouble on the island, just show it to me. I'll wait for your reply in 3 days. Su Rushan sighed, clasped hands and left. In the end, Ning Fan still did not decide to help him on the spot. Su Rushan admired Ning Fan's cautious attitude, but in other words, he also felt helpless about Ning Fan's evasive behavior. The only thing he could do now was to wait for Ning Fan to give him a definite answer. Before that, it was necessary to meet with the elders of the Pleasure Devil sect and make arrangements to entertain Zhou Ming. The black heavenly origin shook, and Su Rushan turned into a puff of black smoke that instantly flew thousands of miles away. This was a divine ability of the divine transformation realm. A teleportation technique that could allow one to travel 10,000 miles in an instant. Compared to teleportation, it was much more advanced. Ning Fan held the black jade token in his hand and remained silent. This was a matter of great importance. It would be unwise to make a careless promise. Even if he was willing to agree, it would be 3 days later. Not agreeing on the spot was to maximize the benefits. Just 50 drops of nether milk was too little. Ning Fan would like to see where Su Rushan's bottom line was in order to befriend him. After a long time, he kept the letter and held the female corpse in his arms. Then he turned into a ray of black light and teleported to the Happiness Immortal Island. There were dozens of uninhabited islands in the Pleasure Devil Sea region. Ning Fan kept a few of them along the way into the Yuanyao world. When they arrived at the Joyous Union Immortal Island, Yulong had already found a place to stay. He asked the ladies of the Bai Yao sect to rest while he waited outside the island for Ning Fan's arrival. Greetings, High Lord. Yulong's attitude was extremely respectful. He used to be a foreign minister of the Pleasure Devil sect, but he was ostracized by the sect. That was why he went to the Penglai Deity Island to join the Lost World Palace. Who would have thought that the moment he stepped foot on Joyous Union Island, he would be welcomed by a group of old monsters, including the vice sect leader. This welcome was ordered by Su Rushan. Although Yulong did not know why Su Rushan was so polite to him, it was not difficult to guess that Su Rushan was most likely trying to curry favor with his master, Zhou Ming. As for why Yulong wanted to curry favor with Lin Yun, that was not what he was concerned about. However, his reverence for Lin Yun gradually deepened. Moreover, the group was arranged to rest in the most luxurious palace on the island, Xianchui Palace. If he wasn't Zhou Ming's slave, he, Yulong, would never be able to enjoy such treatment. Since the beginning of time, only grand cultivators lived in this palace. Have you found a place to rest? How are the women of the Bai Yao sect? Ning Fan asked indifferently. Reporting to my lord, the women have been properly arranged and are resting in Xianchui Palace. Does master want to rest there first, or take a stroll around the island? Profound Jade Palace. I've heard that this palace of the Pleasure Devil sect only accommodates grand cultivators. Su Rushan is very thoughtful, but this is not enough to move me. Ning Fan muttered to himself. He took out a blank jade slip and imprinted it with his spirit sense. Then he passed it to Yulong and instructed him. This jade slip contains 17 types of 10,000-year-old spiritual herbs that I need to concoct pills. Go to the island's Chinese medicine workshop and purchase 2 sets of each for me. As for me, I will first tour around the island before returning to Profound Jade Palace. 10,000-year-old spirit medicine? Yes. Yulong did not say much and asked Ning Fan what he needed spiritual herbs for. However, he did not leave after receiving the jade slip. Each of the 10,000-year-old spiritual herbs would cost tens of thousands of immortal jades at least. If it was a rare herb, it would not be strange to sell it for hundreds of thousands of immortal jades. Yulong, a mere third revolution pill master with an early nascent soul realm cultivation base, did not have millions of immortal jades to buy the herbs. He was waiting for Ning Fan to give him the money. Why aren't you going? Do you want to disobey my order? This old servant dares not. But, my lord, you need to give me money when you want to buy things. This old servant does not have that much money. It doesn't matter. You can go to the Chinese medicine workshop of the Pleasure Devil sect and ask for the herbs. Most likely, they will not dare to refuse. What? My lord wants this old servant to buy the herbs empty-handed. This is the Pleasure Devil sect, a sect with a spirit-severing realm cultivator. Even though my lord's reputation is great, it is inappropriate to rob the herbs in the territory of the Pleasure Devil sect. Yulong trembled. He did not dare to disobey Ning Fan's order, but he also did not dare to rob the herbs in the territory of the 10 sections. Take this token and I will guarantee your safety. Ning Fan frowned. He patted his storage pouch and took out a black jade token and gave it to Yulong. Yulong was stunned at first. Then he felt strange. What kind of token would not cause any trouble when he went to the Chinese medicine workshop of the Pleasure Devil sect? However, when his eyes fell on the black jade token, he was shocked and found it hard to believe. This is... I can't be wrong. This is the ancestors' token of the Pleasure Devil sect. It is the token of Senior Su Rushan. Why is this token in the hands of my lord? Don't ask what you shouldn't ask. Yes. Yulong clasped his fists respectfully and left in a hurry. He was afraid that he would annoy Ning Fan again. However, the respect he had for Ning Fan in his heart had risen to the maximum. With this token, it would not be difficult for him to obtain dozens of 10,000-year-old spiritual herbs from the Chinese medicine workshop. However, Yulong couldn't understand why the token of spirit-severing realm cultivator, Su Rushan, would be in the hands of his master. Rumor had it that Su Rushan was a loner. He never made friends with any external endless sea cultivators, and would not give his token to anyone. However, his master had obtained Su Rushan's token. That is to say, no matter what his master does on the Pleasure Immortal Island, Su Rushan would protect him as long as he didn't do anything outrageous. No wonder he was welcomed by the vice sect master of the Pleasure Devil sect, and entered the Black Jade Palace. It turned out that the Pleasure Devil sect's spirit-severing realm old ancestor, Su Rushan, was pleasing my master. To be able to make a spirit-severing realm old ancestor curry favor with him. My master is extraordinary. Following such a master was not a bad thing, but an extremely good thing. Yulong was overwhelmed with emotions. He left with the token in his hand. Ning Fan pinched the female corpse's soft hand, and his eyes slightly narrowed. 17 kinds of 10,000-year-old spiritual herbs were needed to heal the appearance of Hyacinth Lady and Camellia Lady. 5th Revolution Pill, Facial Restoration Pill. The reason why he asked Yulong to ask for these herbs was to test Su Rushan's bottom line. He wanted to see how much this person would allow him to ask for. He could help Su Rushan, but Su Rushan must give him enough benefits. The lives of at least 150 wild beasts were not something that could be settled with just 50 drops of nether milk. Especially now when Su Rushan was in a terrible fix and was running for his life. If Ning Fan didn't raise the price and extort a huge sum of money from Su Rushan, he would be a fool. Pills, magical treasures, immortal jades, and even the heart of Mother Earth. If it's for the heart of Mother Earth and the hope of reaching the spirit-severing realm, it's not impossible to take the risk and kill 150 wild beasts. In short, I'll see if Yulong's request for these herbs is successful and test Su Rushan's attitude. There are still 3 days. 3 days later, I'll give you my answer. Before that, I'll just stroll around the Pleasure Union Immortal Island. The Pleasure Union Immortal Island was where the Pleasure Devil sect was located. It occupied less than 70,000 li. It was considered a small floating island. It didn't seem to fit the status of one of the 10 great sects of the Pleasure Devil sect. However, this island was made up of high-quality spiritual ores. The island was densely packed with spiritual ores and was full of metal spiritual energy. If one cultivates metal element cultivation methods, their cultivation speed would be twice as fast as on Penglai Immortal Island. The Pleasure Devil Sea was famous for its spiritual ores. The magical treasures and weapons here were also of higher quality compared to other places in the external Endless Sea. Moreover, there were many rare spiritual metals produced here. It was said that even mortal void-grade spiritual metal with spirit enhancement could be found occasionally. As for the Great Cultivator Auction, there would even be earth-profound grade spiritual equipment sold here. The outer island occupied 1/3 of the entire island. It was a place for foreign cultivators to rest. The inner island was where the disciples of the Pleasure Devil sect stayed and cultivated. On the outer island, there were tens of thousands of shops which formed more than 10 markets of different sizes. Because of the auction and the secret realm of the broken world, there was an endless stream of cultivators who came to this island. Enjoying the sea breeze, Ning Fan held the obedient female corpse's hand and wandered around the market. Among the crowd, most of them were Gold Core Realm cultivators. There were only a few Harmonious Spirit Realm cultivators. As for Vein Opening Realm cultivators, most of them came with their seniors to see the world. On both sides of the street, there were many rogue cultivators who set up their own stalls. For a temporary stall like this, one only needed to pay 10 immortal jades to get permission to set up a stall. Middle-grade pill cauldron, used to concoct third revolution pills and below, only 600 immortal jades. Bitter spirit pills, a bottle of 20 pills, 800 immortal jades. Harmonious spirit Dao friends, come and have a look. Middle grade flying sword, 200 immortal jades. Ugh, although it's a little damaged, it's still usable. The noisy hawking made Ning Fan forget about killing and cultivation. It was as if he had returned to his childhood, to the time when he was still immortal. 10 years in the outside world was 300 years in Ning Fan's life. 300 years was enough for Ning Fan to forget a lot of things. As the sea breeze blew, he spread out his divine sense. Everything within a radius of 3,000 miles, including the rustling of the grass and the people coming and going, was recorded in his mind. 16 years of being immortal, 2 years of warmth in Yu country, 300 years of lonely cultivation journey. Everything was recorded in his mind. Along the way, his fate seemed to have been played by someone in the unseen world. But every time, he had to go against his fate. He couldn't bear to see his master die, he couldn't bear to see Ning City destroyed, he couldn't bear to see Suqiu get killed, he couldn't bear to see Jihe get killed. He didn't like killing people. If he could, he was willing to let time stay in 7 Apricot City forever. But if he didn't kill on this road, he wouldn't have so many relationships and wouldn't feel the warmth of being alive. He held the female corpse's hand and stood silently in the crowd with his eyes closed. His state of mind, however, slowly ascended with the touch. His state of mind was moving towards the late nascent soul realm. Just a little bit more, just a little bit more, an opportunity. Ning Fan was secretly shocked. He didn't expect that his state of mind cultivation would be close to a breakthrough at this moment. It was just a little bit more, but no matter what, he couldn't touch it. What's missing? What's missing? His palm that was holding the female corpse was slightly sweaty. His eyes under his eyelids became restless. The black snow in the sky, the surrounding magnetic force, the sea fog. Everything seemed to make Ning Fan feel annoyed and depressed. Scenes of slaughter and bloody memories swirled in his mind, causing him to almost go crazy. It was as if there was a voice representing the heavenly Tao in Ning Fan's heart asking, "The Devil Sea is boundless, turn back and you will be saved. Turn back." How can I turn back? If I don't turn back, what should I do? Ning Fan opened his eyes. They were empty and blank, as if he had sunk into his heart devil. But at this moment, the female corpse reached out her hand and caressed Ning Fan's face worriedly. Her soft and choppy voice gently rang in Ning Fan's ears. Light is not troublesome. Look at flowers. In his empty mind, Ning Fan seemed to have heard a voice that was saving him. Is it Wei Liang? He focused his mind and his eyes became clear. He was secretly shocked. Just now, I was almost controlled by my heart devil. My cultivation base is rising too fast. My state of mind can't keep up with it. It's really dangerous. He smiled at the female corpse gratefully and rubbed her hair as a sign of gratitude. He was grateful that the female corpse woke him up when he was in danger. Following the female corpse's finger, Ning Fan's eyes fell on a pot of orchid. The petals were pure and white, like a woman's lips curling outwards. When the sea breeze blew, the orchid swayed gently, giving off a pleasant sound like a silver bell. This is Linglan. Moreover, this orchid had 5 white stamens. When the breeze blew, the 5 sounds of gong, shang jiao, zheng and you would be heard. Such a rare Linglan blooming at the same time. And the 5 sounds appearing at the same time was like heavenly music. It was truly rare. Linglan. Jihe once said that she wanted a Linglan from the endless sea. Jihe. When he thought of Jihe, Ning Fan's heart gradually calmed down. His lips curved into a warm smile. As for the heart devil, he no longer had to worry about it. Since I have already fallen into the devil sea, why should I turn back? My left hand is stained with the blood of all the enemies in the world. My right hand is erased of all the sins of life. If you are here, I will have no regrets. Ning Fan took a deep breath. His eyes were filled with indifference. At this moment, his mental state had risen to the late nascent soul realm. In the early nascent soul realm, he was a sharp sword. In the mid-nascent soul realm, he was a sheathed sword. In the late nascent soul realm, he was an edgeless sword. All the sharpness was removed, leaving only the weight. He looked at the Linglan and smiled faintly. How much is this flower? The owner of the stall was a harmonious spirit girl. She had an ordinary appearance, but was untainted by dust. When her eyes met Ning Fan's, her face immediately reddened. 100 immortal jades. 100. Yes, yes. Although this Linglan is an ordinary spiritual herb and is young, it blooms with 5 flowers and sounds. It is a rare flower that only appears once in 1,000 years. It has a name called Flying Immortal. If young master thinks that it is expensive, 95 immortal jades is fine. How about 90? The girl was slightly nervous. 100 immortal jades was enough to buy an ordinary mid-grade magical treasure. Normal cultivators would not buy flowers, unless they were cultivators with a special hobby who loved flowers as much as their own lives. She had set up a stall here for 3 days. If she still couldn't sell this flower, it would be a huge loss. Her nervous eyes made Ning Fan feel a little amused. Flying immortal, huh? The 5 sounds are like music, but it has the intent of flying immortal. I want this flower. Here are 200 immortal jades. Take the extra as my thanks. Thanks. Thanks for this Linglan. It reminded Ning Fan of his worries and helped him break through his state of mind. Of course, the girl didn't understand this gratitude. Her eyes were filled with joy. It was rare to see a flower in the mortal world being sold for 200 immortal jades. Just as Ning Fan paid, and before he could keep the flower pot, a girl's surprised voice was heard from the crowd. This orchid has 5 flowers and 5 sounds. All of them are white. Isn't this the famous species of flying immortal? I didn't expect such a wonderful flower to be found in this small market. After the woman's voice rang out, a cultured and refined male's voice immediately rang out, indifferently fawning over her. Hee, it is the flower's honor if Miss Chioling likes this flower. Then a man and a woman, together with 8 guards, squeezed through the crowd and came to the girl's stall. As soon as this group of people appeared, some cultivators recognized them and scattered in all directions. This girl is the daughter of the pleasure devil old ancestor, the young lady of the Su family Su Chioling. Isn't her companion the son of the vice sect master of the 10 sects profound virtue sect? Let's leave quickly. Don't get involved in this trouble. Among them, the young man was wearing a high hat and wide belt. His ears were drooping to his shoulders. He was elegant and handsome. His face was like jade. He was wearing a light golden robe, giving him a noble aura. He didn't care about the comments of the crowd. He took a step forward and his eyes fell on Ningfan. He smiled politely. This friend, I am Zhao Zijing of the Profound Virtue Sect. My female companion has taken a fancy to this orchid. I wonder if you can part with it. This person didn't reveal his chi, but Ningfan could tell that he was a mid-nascent soul realm cultivator, and the woman was a peak gold core realm cultivator. As for the other 8 guards, except for one who was at the early nascent soul realm, the others were all peak gold core realm cultivators. Even though this person's words were polite, he naturally had the intention to oppress Ningfan by mentioning the name of the 10 sects Profound Virtue Sect. Moreover, this person's eyes were undetectable. When he glanced at the female corpse, his eyes flashed with surprise. This scene didn't escape Ningfan's observation. Even though this person had a dignified appearance, he probably wasn't a good person. I'm sorry. This flower is a gift from my wife. I can't part with it. But you don't understand the value of the flying immortal. You don't understand flowers, but you still have this flower. It's obviously a waste. If you are willing to part with this flower, I will give you 10,000 immortal jades. How about it? The woman in yellow named Su Qiuling frowned and said, Whether you understand it or not, this flower is mine. Besides, I don't lack 10,000 immortal jades. Ningfan held the female corpse's hand and walked away. The young man in golden robes called Zhao Zijing took a step forward and blocked Ningfan's path with his arm. His handsome smile contained a trace of gloominess. 10,000 immortal jades isn't low. It's better for fellow Taoists to part with it. Oh, interesting. If I don't part with this flower, don't tell me that you, a mere mid-nascent soul realm cultivator, will dare to attack me? Ningfan stopped and sneered. A mere mid-nascent soul realm cultivator. This friend, you sure have a big mouth. Aren't you afraid that the wind will cut your tongue? Zhao Zijing's eyes turned cold. His bone age was 900 years old, but he had already cultivated to the mid-nascent soul realm. A mid-nascent soul realm cultivator at the age of 900 years old. It was highly possible for him to break through to the peak nascent soul realm in this lifetime, and be known as one of the 7 sons of the external endless sea. Among the 7 sons of the external endless sea, he was considered the weakest. However, his aptitude was already terrifying to ordinary people. However, this young man in front of him actually dared to say that he, Zhao Zijing, was a mere mid-nascent soul realm cultivator. What kind of cultivation base did this person have? How could he be so arrogant? He was a dignified nascent soul realm cultivator, yet he still dared to talk back to him. If it wasn't for the fact that he had to maintain his composure in front of a beauty, he, Zhao Zijing, would have already punished this person. Zhao Zijing's smile didn't diminish. However, he secretly planted an imprint on Ningfan's body with his spirit sense. It was most probably for revenge later. This imprint couldn't be hidden from Ningfan. However, he didn't care about it at all. This Zhao Zijing was courting death. However, what made Ningfan surprised was Su Qiuling's attitude. She walked towards Ningfan with light steps and persuaded Zhao Zijing. Forget it, brother Zhao. Although the Ascension realm is good, this young master's words weren't rude. This flower is bought by him, so it belongs to him. Father has been worrying about important matters recently. It's better not to create trouble. While speaking, she secretly used her spirit sense to erase Zhao Zijing's imprint. Although it was a peak gold core spirit sense, it was enough to erase the imprint of a mid-nascent soul realm cultivator. That spirit sense seemed to be quite unique. Ningfan was secretly surprised. This woman has a good heart. For the sake of this woman, I won't do any harm to Zhao Zijing's offense. Young master, you should leave quickly. Be careful when you do things in the future. The Endless Sea isn't a peaceful place. Su Qiuling didn't think too highly of Ningfan. In her opinion, Ningfan was most likely just a harmonious spirit realm cultivator. It was very dangerous to offend a nascent soul realm cultivator with such a temperament. However, How many people in the world would be willing to offend a nascent soul realm cultivator for a flower? Could it be that this person was actually a lover of flowers? Thank you for your kind words. Ning Fan held the female corpse's hand and left indifferently. From the beginning to the end, he didn't look at Su Qiuling. Such indifference was definitely not a pretense of Zhao Zijing. This made Su Qiuling secretly surprised. This young man looked like an ordinary person, but he was extraordinary. She didn't know where he came from. Her eyes slightly flashed with a trace of brilliance, which turned into a smile. It was a recognition of Ning Fan's bearing. That's right. Only a gentleman who attends flowers can have such a unique poison. When this trace of brilliance fell into Zhao Zijing's eyes, his heart turned cold. Humph. This Zhao has been trying to please this woman every day, but she didn't smile at me. That person who stole her flower made her smile. Humph. Sure enough, she's a whore. However, this woman is still a spirit-severing realm cultivator. Father told me to make this woman feel at ease. Only then can Father be promoted from the position of vice sect master to the position of sect master with Su Russian's good impression. Zhao Zijing's expression didn't change, but his words were somewhat cold. He also saw that Su Qiuling erased the mark he left on her. Obviously, she wanted to protect this Ning Fan whom she just met for the first time. In his heart, he was even more determined to settle the score with this Ning Fan. A mere junior in front of a nascent soul realm senior was too impudent. Friend, do you not dare to leave your name? Zhao Zijing's words were filled with coldness. You don't want to know my name. Ning Fan didn't turn his head, but there was an unerasable evil qi in his words. This evil qi had been freely released after the advancement of his mental state. It was only directed at Zhao Zijing. This evil qi made Zhao Zijing's eyes widen in surprise. The nascent soul in his dantian trembled, and was on the verge of collapse. His expression greatly changed. Who is this person? Such a tyrannical evil qi was definitely not a nameless person in the external endless sea. Perhaps only the first of the 7 scions of the external endless sea could be compared to him. Investigate. Find out this person's background. This Zhao wants to see who this person is. He's so arrogant that he doesn't even dare to leave his name. Zhao Zijing instructed through telepathy. He sneered in his heart. So what if this person is strong? As long as he doesn't have the background of one of the 10 great sects, I have ways to crush him to death. Su Qiuling looked at Zhao Zijing with disgust and said indifferently, this little girl isn't feeling well. I will return to the blissful summit to rest for the time being. In that case, Brother Zhao, please do as you wish. Zhao Zijing's eyes were still as calm as before, but his heart was burning with anger. What a whore who likes the new and hates the old. One day, I, Zhao Zijing, will make you fall into my hands. Forget it. I'll find out the background of this stinking brat first. Since he's so arrogant, he probably has a weak cultivation base but has a strong background. He might be a young master of a second-rate force in the external endless sea. So what if he's a second-rate force? When the 7 scions of the external endless sea arrive, I, Zhao Zijing, will still dare to kill him even if he has a late nascent soul realm cultivation base. What's more, he's just a mere ant. Chapter 224. A stretch of road, a stretch of dusk. Ning Fan calmed himself down. With the improvement of his state of mind, he became even steadier. There were 8 people sneaking behind him, but he didn't care. They were courting death. The magnetic force of the Joyous Union Island was so strong that even nascent soul cultivators wouldn't dare to spread out their spirit sense. But Ning Fan did. Those lackeys of Zhao Zijing thought that they were following Ning Fan's in secret, but they didn't expect that they were already 4 people in Ning Fan's eyes. Light has bad people. The female corpse's innocent eyes were filled with worry. Bad guy. What about me? Ning Fan asked with a smile. Light is good. The woman nodded firmly. Silly girl. Ning Fan could not help but chuckle and shake his head while stroking the black hair of the female corpse. Humans could not be differentiated by good or bad. The 8 people behind him were not bad people. They were people who were about to die. Within 2 days, Ning Fan seemed to be taking a leisurely stroll in a courtyard. However, his movement technique was extremely fast and he had already visited all 13 markets on the outer island. He bought the temple flower for the female corpse, as well as a lot of spirit ores, spirit herbs and pill recipes. Countless cultivators brushed past Ning Fan, but none of them knew how strong he was. The 8 of them were still following him. However, Ning Fan was walking further and further away. Eventually, he arrived at an uninhabited island region. Wuxia was puzzled, extremely puzzled. For 2 consecutive days, he followed Zhao Zijing's order and followed Ning Fan, trying to find out his background. However, the result was that Ning Fan did not come into contact with anyone at all. He also did not return to the inn where he stayed. As such, without any proof, they could not figure out the origins of this person. The more he followed Ning Fan, the more astonished he became. In just 2 days, Ning Fan and the female corpse had visited all 13 markets on the island. They had spent at least 10 million immortal jades to purchase spiritual herbs, spiritual ores and pill recipes. 10 million immortal jades. What kind of young master could carry such a huge amount of money? Although he was considered a nascent sole foreign minister of Xuande sect, after cultivating for 1,400 years, he did not even have more than 2 million immortal jade when he was at his most well-off. He suddenly realized that Su Qiuling and Zhao Zijing's attempt to intimidate the young man in front of him with 10,000 immortal jade was really showing off in front of an expert and making a fool of themselves. This person's wealth was probably more than Zhao Zijing's father. As for Lu Wujin, he still could not see through Ning Fan's cultivation base after observing him for 2 days. Sometimes his aura was at the harmonious spirit realm, vein opening realm, gold core realm, nascent soul realm, and sometimes his aura was comparable to a peak nascent soul realm cultivator. This fluctuating qi made Lu Wujin feel a deep fear. If it wasn't for the magical treasure that gave off a false aura, this person's cultivation base had already surpassed his own cultivation base. Boss, are we still following? The 7 gold core realm cultivators behind him were already somewhat afraid. Follow. If we don't find out the truth, young lord won't let us off. However, why is this person walking further and further in the wrong direction? That's right. This place is so remote. It's really a good place to kill someone and steal their treasures. At the mention of killing and seizing treasures, the 8 of them felt a chill down their spines. An extremely bad feeling arose in their hearts. At this moment, Ning Fan, who was 1,000 zhang ahead of him, halted his footsteps amidst the thick sea mist and black snow. Along the way, he did not leave a single footprint on the black snow, drifting like a ghost. At this moment, Ning Fan turned around. His eyes flashed with a cold light. The gentleness and elegance that he had displayed during the past 2 days was nowhere to be seen. You bunch of ants. Do you really want to know my name? It's really tiring to follow me for 2 days. There was no joy or anger in his words. The only thing that could be felt was the bone-chilling devil might. Under the disturbance of this devil might, Lu Wujin could no longer hold back his qi and revealed himself. The other gold core realm cultivators also felt a chill in their hearts and got rid of their invisibility. The young man in front of them only took 1 step. However, this step seemed to be stepping on the heaven and earth, causing ripples to form. When the ripples reached him, Lu Wujin spurted out blood and was sent flying. He was already severely injured. As for the other 7 gold core realm cultivators, their bodies exploded into a mist of blood. Their faces were filled with disbelief, but they were already dead. You. Who are you? How dare you kill someone in the territory of the 10 sects? Don't you know that the 10 sects are like brothers? Who am I? Who do you think I am? The second step. Ning Fan's black hair fluttered in the wind and snow. His body was surrounded by a terrifying evil qi that turned into a faint blood-red light. Under this evil qi, Lu Wujin's heart trembled. One of his arms was severed by the sword shadow that appeared out of nowhere. Ah! He screamed and fell into a pool of blood. His eyes were wide open as he stared at the young man who was approaching him step by step. Who do you think I am? The third step. With this step, Lu Wujin's body was crushed. In the mist of blood, his tiny nascent soul trembled uncontrollably. He didn't even dare to form a spell to teleport. 3 steps to trample the heavens and kill Yuanchu. Surnamed Zhou. The arrogance of someone who dares to kill anyone. That's right. That's right. There was only one devil in the external endless sea who behaved like this. Lu Wuzhen suddenly recalled that 2 days ago, when his young lord fiercely asked for Ning Fan's name, Ning Fan's sneer and reply, "You wouldn't want to know my name." Yes. Indeed. If Lu Wuzhen was given a chance to choose again, he wouldn't want to know that the weak young man that he had been following for 2 days was actually the madman who made the external endless sea silent after a massacre. Zhou Ming. Zhou Ming. He was Zhou Ming. His young lord had gotten himself into trouble. Huge trouble. He must tell his young lord about this news immediately. He must escape. He must escape from the Pleasure Devil Sea and return to the Xuanda sect. He must ask for the spirit-severing old ancestors' protection. Otherwise, no one below the spirit-severing realm would be able to withstand Zhou Ming's devil might. Broken nascent blood escape. Lu Wuzhen suddenly formed a spell. His nascent soul trembled violently and immediately became illusory. 90% of his cultivation base had dissipated due to the tremble. The illusory nascent soul turned into a ray of blood-red light and traveled 1,000 miles in an instant, heading straight for the Rising Sparrow platform. I must tell my young lord about this news. I must. Oh, he's a loyal servant. However, he's an enemy. Cut the grass and remove the roots. The corner of Ning Fan's mouth curved into a cold smile. He held the female corpse and took a step forward, disappearing into the snowstorm. The snow was falling. On the Rising Sparrow platform, more than 20 nascent soul realm cultivators were enjoying the snow. The black snow and the 4th grade spirit wine, Blacking Luo. The experts were warming the wine, chatting and discussing the Tao. Among them, the most eye-catching were the 7 youths. The 7 sons of the external endless sea. They were the 7 most talented youths in the external endless sea. Among the 7, Zhao Zijing was only at the bottom. Among the 7, a cultivation of 900 years at the middle nascent soul stage was insignificant. The 3rd in aptitude was Lu Zong of the Ice Soul sect. This person formed his nascent soul when he was 600 years old, and reached the mid-stage of 700 years old. His soul streamer could contain millions of souls. He could even fight against a nascent soul cultivator. The person with the 2nd highest aptitude was Qingyun Sword Faction's Luan. This person formed his nascent soul at the age of 500, mid-stage at the age of 600, and advanced to the nascent soul stage at the age of 900. With a sword in hand, he once fought Luo Fei, a grand cultivator of the Purple Charm sect, to a draw. The one with the best aptitude was Wang Yun from the Dao sect. This person formed his nascent soul at 400 years old, reached the middle stage of nascent soul at 500 years old, advanced to nascent soul at 600 years old, and reached the peak of nascent soul at 900 years old. He had once fought to a draw with the former East Pagoda master of the Lost World Palace, Dongqing. The 7 of them drank, but they appeared to be united, but they were actually divided. However, there was a trace of impatience in Zhao Zijing's eyes, which attracted everyone's attention. Oh, Brother Zhao seems to have a knot in his heart? Could it be that there was something troubling him? Do you want me to help you vent your anger? Lu Zong fiddled with a blood-red streamer and smiled evilly. Thank you for your concern, Brother Lu. It's just that an ant who hasn't even reached the harmonious spirit realm spoke rudely to me. I have already sent someone to follow that person, but he might be slacking off because he didn't have any evidence. Otherwise, he would have reported back after 2 days. In the territory of the 10 sects, there is a harmonious spirit realm junior. Who dares to provoke Brother Zhao? Luan's eyes flashed. The huge scabbard on his back was shining with silver light in the wind and snow. That's right. I have imprinted this person's appearance. Brothers, please take a look. If there's a chance, help me get rid of this person. That way, I will be able to sweep away my depression. As soon as he finished speaking, Zhao Zijing patted his storage pouch and took out a jade slip. With a few hand seals, an illusory image was reflected from the jade slip, replaying the scene of that day. In the illusory image, Ning Fan's sneering expression, indifferent attitude and the words "just a mid-nascent soul realm cultivator" immediately made Lu Zong and several other geniuses unhappy. Although they were geniuses, they were also mid-nascent soul realm cultivators. Didn't that mean that they were also just in Ningfan's words? Humph. This person is so arrogant. However, this person seems a little familiar. The young master of the Purple Charm sect sneered, but his eyes were filled with a trace of confusion. Familiar? Speaking of which, it does seem like I've seen him before, but it also seems like I haven't. The young master of the Profound Firmament sect said with a solemn expression. Seeing so many people seem to have seen Ningfan before, Zhao Zijing felt strange. Could this person really be a disciple of a powerful sect in the external Endless Sea? But if that's the case, why haven't I heard of this person before? While he was pondering, an elder of the Profound Firmament sect slapped his thigh and pointed at Ningfan's illusory image with a surprised expression. It's him. It's him. I've seen this person before. Young Master Zhao is wrong. How could this person be a harmonious spirit cultivator? He is clearly a mid-nascent soul cultivator. When he goes berserk, his aura is even stronger than a late-nascent soul cultivator. The one who spoke was an elder of the Profound Sky sect from the Mystic Light Celestial Island. He was at the mid-nascent soul realm, and his surname was Jiang. This person's voice naturally attracted everyone's attention. Zhao Zijing was secretly shocked. If what Elder Jiang said was true, and this person was a nascent intermediate stage cultivator with battle prowess comparable to a nascent late stage cultivator, then wouldn't he have offended a ruthless person? But why had he never heard of this person before? Elder Jiang, are you joking? If this person is at the mid-nascent soul realm, how could I not sense his cultivation? No. I can joke about other things, but I definitely won't joke about this. More than 10 years ago, this old man led the disciples of the sect to the sea to kill the mermaids for training. However, it happened to be during the 10,000 Mermaids riot. 10,000 mermaids and merman riot? Oh, it's that time. I heard that it was caused by the people of the Demon Sealing Palace in the inner Endless Sea. Zhao Zijing nodded his head. However, Elder Jiang's next words caused Zhao Zijing's expression to change. Not only him, but all the youths were secretly shocked. At that time, it was like a ferocious devil that could travel 1,000 miles in an instant. The expert who passed by me was this person. This person sacrificed his sea of consciousness in exchange for the ability to travel 1,000 miles in an instant. I can't forget that crazy and cold gaze of his. This person asked for the location of the 10,000 Mermaids riot and rushed into the group of mermaids alone. What? One person against 10,000 mermaids? A speed of 1,000 miles in an instant. Could this person really be a mid-nascent soul realm cultivator? The scene became silent for a moment. Even Lu Zong and the others who threatened to stand up for Zhao Zijing were silent. A mid-nascent soul realm cultivator that was comparable to a late-nascent soul realm cultivator was still fine. However, if he was a lunatic, no one would be willing to offend a lunatic. Only God knows if this lunatic would risk his life or not. Zhao Zijing let out a few dry coughs and exchanged glances with another elder of the Xuanda sect. Both of them could see the fear in each other's eyes. It seemed like the 8 people that he, Zhao Zijing, had sent to follow Ningfan this time and failed to return. Most likely, they had been killed by Ningfan. However, even if this person was a lunatic, he shouldn't be crazy enough to kill the experts of the 10 sects in the territory of the 10 sections. After calming himself down, Zhao Zijing poured 2 cups of wine and said with a calm smile. Shattering his sea of consciousness and traveling 1,000 miles in an instant. This kind of madness is indeed terrifying. However, he is just a mid-nascent soul realm cultivator after all. From what Elder Jiang said, even though this person's strength is extraordinary, he is just a rogue cultivator after all. Judging from the direction he is heading, he is most likely a rogue cultivator from the coastal cultivation countries. In that case, he has no roots in the external Endless Sea. What is there to be afraid of? But before he could finish drinking, another person spoke up. I've seen this person before. A few days ago, when I entered the Pleasure Devil Sea, I saw this person fighting against the 5 devils from afar. It seemed like he was trying to save the fairies of the Bai Yao sect. I recognized that the 5 devils were the famous 5 ugliest monks of the Black Buddha sect. That's why That's why I didn't dare to help the Bai Yao sect and left first. As for that person or the 5 ugliest monks, I don't know who won. However, I heard that the sect master of the Bai Yao sect has arrived at this island safely. If this person is still alive, it means that this person has saved the female cultivators from the hands of the 5 ugliest monks. 5 ugliest monks. The 5 ugliest monks of the Black Buddha sect. Elder Shui, are you sure you didn't see wrongly? I'm sure. However, I don't know the result of the battle between this person and the 5 devils. What kind of result do you want? Yesterday, when I passed by the outer island, I saw the vice sect master of the Black Buddha sect, old devil Xie Guang, who was at the early spirit severing realm. As soon as he entered the outer island, he flew into a rage. I heard that the 5 ugliest monks of the Black Buddha sect were killed. If Elder Shui is not mistaken, this person is the one who killed the 5 devils. Hiss. The 20+ nascent soul realm cultivators at the scene gasped at the same time. As for the jade goblet in Zhao Zijing's hand, it fell to the ground with a paw sound and shattered into pieces. Their hearts were filled with waves of shock. The 5 ugliest monks. The late nascent soul realm cultivator, Mi Lian, was the leader while the other 4 mid-nascent soul realm cultivators were his assistants. Rumor has it that Mi Lian had a second nascent soul realm cultivator. His true combat power was comparable to that of a peak nascent soul realm cultivator. With the help of the 5 of them, he could be considered as a mid-level expert among the peak nascent soul realm cultivators of the internal sea. However, the 5 ugliest monks were actually dead. Before he died, he even fought against Ning Fan. Doesn't this mean that the person who killed the 5 devils is Ning Fan? If that's the case, how could he be a mid-nascent soul realm cultivator? He is obviously a peak nascent soul realm cultivator. Moreover, he is considered as one of the top experts among the peak nascent soul realm cultivators. At this moment, Luan of the Azure Cloud Sword sect, who was on par with Luo Fei, had his sword humming behind his back. At this moment, Wang Yun of the Daofa sect, who was undefeated in the battle against Dong Qing, had a hint of light flashing across his eyes. There is actually a handsome young man in the external endless sea, who has the combat power of a peak nascent soul realm cultivator. Zhao Zijing's mind was in a mess. If Ning Fan is a mid-nascent soul realm cultivator, he would only be wary of him even if he is a lunatic. However, if Ning Fan is a peak nascent soul realm cultivator, and he is a mid-nascent soul realm cultivator, Zhao Zijing could not afford to offend him at all. His father was the vice sect master of the Profound Virtue sect, but his cultivation base was only at the mid-nascent soul realm. Zhao Zijing himself was also a mid-nascent soul realm cultivator. Thus, he had to be polite to late nascent soul realm cultivators. As for peak nascent soul realm cultivators, even divine transformation realm cultivators had to be polite to them. How could Zhao Zijing afford to offend them? Damn it! Why hasn't Lu Wuzhen returned yet? Could something have happened to him? No. Even if he is a peak nascent soul realm cultivator, he would not kill the experts of the 10 sects in the territory of the 10 sects. However, I have offended him after all. Even if I didn't offend him too deeply, there might still be room for negotiation. Zhao Zijing no longer had the mood to drink wine. He suddenly rose to his feet and gave an order to the mid-nascent soul realm elders behind him. Elder Yuan, quickly prepare a generous gift. I want to pay a visit to this peak nascent soul realm cultivator and apologize to him. If he knew that this person was a peak nascent soul realm cultivator, why would he, Zhao Zijing, send someone to follow him? If he knew that this person was a peak nascent soul realm cultivator, how would he, Zhao Zijing, dare to leave a tracking mark on him? Ridiculous. Ridiculous. He painstakingly recruited experts of the external endless sea to expand his father's forces. In the end, he offended a peak nascent soul realm cultivator. However, it was already too late for Zhao Zijing to have such a beautiful dream. All of a sudden, the smell of blood filled the air along with the wind and snow. Immediately, all the experts put on a vigilant expression. In the night sky, a ray of blood-red light flashed. Then, an illusory, heavily injured nascent soul realm cultivator dashed towards them in fear. His face was filled with panic. Zhao Zijing's face was filled with shock. Then he flew into a rage. The severely injured nascent soul realm cultivator in front of him was none other than Lu Wuzhen. He attacked you. How dare he? Even if he is a peak nascent soul realm cultivator, how can I let this matter rest after injuring a nascent soul realm elder of my 10 sects? No. No. Seeing that his young lord was still unaware of the danger, the illusory nascent soul realm cultivator was burning with anxiety. After half a day, he barely managed to utter a few words. Run. Run. It's him. Run. Why do you have to run? I respect him as a peak nascent soul realm cultivator, and treat him with respect. However, he injured a nascent soul realm cultivator of my sect. This matter must be explained to the divine transformation realm old ancestor of my sect. Thinking about how the mysterious peak nascent soul realm cultivator injured Lu Wuzhen, Zhao Zijing pretended to be righteous, but he was actually secretly happy. Great, this is great. If this person didn't injure him, then it would be troublesome if he offended him. Since this person injured someone, then this matter was no longer a conflict between Zhao Zijing and this person. Instead, it was a conflict between this person and the entire Xuanda sect. The divine transformation realm old ancestor would not just sit back and do nothing. I don't need to be afraid of any peak nascent soul realm cultivator. Run. Run. Lu Wuzhen desperately squeezed out a few words. He was extremely loyal. However, he didn't know that his young lord was extremely happy that he was severely injured. What are you running for? You coward. Lu Wuzhen, I order you to lead the way and find this peak nascent soul realm cultivator. Today, I must make this person give my Xuanda sect an explanation. An explanation. You don't deserve it. At this moment, a blood-red evil chi swept across the rising sparrow stage. More than 20 nascent soul realm experts felt like they were suffocating under the evil chi. In the wind and snow, a young man in white robes and a black cloak appeared. His eyes were cold and indifferent. Behind him was a woman with the same cold expression. When this person appeared, the chest of all the nascent soul realm experts trembled. Early nascent soul realm experts coughed out blood and were injured. Those mid-nascent soul realm experts were not injured, but their chi was in a mess. Even the number one genius among the peak nascent soul realm cultivators, Wang Yun, had a drastic change of expression. Even though he was a genius, under Ning Fan's intense gaze, he felt like he was hallucinating. He was definitely not a match for this person. Once they fight, he would definitely die. He had only felt this kind of feeling from the divine transformation realm old ancestor of his sect. It's him. It's him. Among the peak nascent soul realm cultivators in the external endless sea, there was only one person who could make Wang Yun afraid. He was Zhou Ming. It's him. Zhou Ming. Lu Wuzhen finally said a complete sentence. However, it was too late. These two simple words were even more shocking than the might of that one step. As soon as these two words left his mouth, the people of the other 6 sects cupped their fists and fled far away. They quickly drew a clear line between themselves and the Xuanda sect. No matter what happened tonight, it would not be surprising. Even if Zhao Zijing died, it would be because the other party was Zhou Ming. No matter what happened tonight, it would have nothing to do with them because the other party was Zhou Ming. The endless sea was such a place. Killing one is a crime. Killing 10,000 is a hero. The more ferocious the devil, the more enemies you make, the less people would dare to provoke you. On the contrary, showing weakness and befriending others would be considered as cowardice. Zhao Zijing's body trembled, because he had offended Zhou Ming. This person could fight against 3 peak nascent soul realm cultivators alone. Even the old ancestor of the sect had given a strict order. All disciples must not provoke this devil. Otherwise, it would have nothing to do with the sect if they died in the hands of this devil. You can die now. Killing intent flashed in Ning Fan's eyes. Zhao Zijing completely collapsed on the ground. I'm done for. Chapter 225. Don't kill me. Zhao Zijing fell to the ground and looked at the indifferent young man in front of him. He was already at a loss. Seeing the young man walking towards him step by step while the other 6 disciples of the external endless sea abandoned him without any sense of loyalty. How could he not know that he was going to die today? Who was the devil that should not be offended in the external endless sea? If it was a few years ago, there would be a mountain of them. This person had the support of the venerated seven of the internal endless sea. His magnetic force was at the peak of perfection. He killed countless people, and even dared to sell their wives and daughters as human cauldrons. This person should not be offended. However, today the person that should not be offended the most was undoubtedly Zhou Ming. No matter how arrogant Su Rushan was, he still belonged to a sect. He needed to complete venerated giant's order, and take into consideration the interests of the 10 sections. The other 12 divine transformation realm cultivators of the external endless sea should not act recklessly either. However, Zhou Ming did not care. No one could predict this person's background. This person did not belong to any sect or faction. He was a loner, and did not have to worry about killing people. His strength was invincible below the divine transformation realm. Ordinary grand cultivators could not be compared to him. In addition, this person was arrogant and fearless. His notoriety was far greater than the 13 divine transformation realm cultivators. If he was a divine transformation realm cultivator, he might have to consider Xuanda's sex reputation. However, Zhou Ming did not need to consider Xuanda's sex reputation. Revered Ming, please forgive me. Zhao Zijing begged for mercy in fear. However, Ning Fan continued to move forward indifferently. The closer he got, the stronger the feeling of death. Seeing that their young master was in danger, the nascent soul realm cultivator behind Zhao Zijing gritted his teeth and rushed towards Ning Fan despite the fear in their eyes. Don't hurt my master. The nascent soul realm cultivator chose to self-destruct without any hesitation. As for the nascent soul realm cultivator, he chose to self-destruct and perish together with Ning Fan. That was a kind of spirit that was not afraid of death. It was a spirit that Zhao Zijing could never understand. The self-destruction of the two nascent soul realm cultivators turned into destructive waves of magic power. The blood-red primordial force tore heaven and earth apart, producing a sizzling sound. It was like a drop of blood falling into boiling oil. At that moment, the entire heaven and earth began to explode from this point. Even a late nascent soul realm cultivator would be heavily injured if they were to be rashly engulfed by this blood-red primordial force. The nascent soul experts of the sixth sex watched from afar. Even Wang Yun, Luan and Lu Zong had serious expressions on their faces as they watched the blood-colored explosion. Even if the three of them were caught in the explosion of such a vast nascent soul, it would be difficult for them to escape unscathed. Could Zhou Ming take it? Although this person was the strongest person below the divine transformation realm, he was ultimately not a divine transformation realm expert. Zhao Zijing revealed a crazed look of delight. Good. You too. Well done. He would blow Zhou Ming up as well. This young lord did not treat the two of you in vain. He had a cold and indifferent personality, and he did not feel the slightest bit sad for their tragic deaths. But the next moment, the smoke and dust dispersed and the elemental energy dissipated. He could no longer smile. However, as soon as the blood-red explosion of Yuan Qi swept towards Ning Fan's big hand made a grabbing motion. A silver light shone brightly. This grabbing motion was like grabbing the heaven and earth. All the scattered Yuan Qi was absorbed into his palm and turned into a blood-red ball of light. This ball of light was the full force of the explosion. If it were to spread, everything within 1,000 miles of the rising Sparrow Terrace would be razed to the ground. But when he held it in his palm, it could not be dispersed at all. Wang Yun's eyes turned cold. There's no mistake. This Zhou Ming is actually a half-step jade life body refinement realm cultivator. Just his physical body alone is enough to resist the primordial force of heaven and earth. Unless his primordial force is condensed to the next level and turned into the heavenly spiritual force, there is nothing that can harm his physical body. However, even Wang Yun did not expect Ning Fan to open his mouth and swallow the blood-red ball of light. That terrifying tearing force could not tear his physical body apart at all. After all, it's the blood power of the two nascent souls' self-destruction. I shouldn't waste it. Ning Fan remained unscathed amidst the black snow. He flicked his sleeves and two ghosts floated towards him. They were Lu Wuzhen and the elder who self-destructed. The two of you are loyal. However, you have followed the wrong master. I will kill the two of you, but I will not destroy your souls. Quickly reincarnate." He flicked his sleeves and the two ghosts immediately turned into light spots and dissipated. However, their expressions were extremely complicated. Zhou Ming. What kind of person is he? He could kill people wantonly and save their souls during the self-destruction, and send them into the cycle of reincarnation. Was it because the two of them were considered as loyal and righteous men? Loyalty and righteousness? In the cultivation world, would there be anyone who valued loyalty and righteousness? Their young master was happy because of the death of the two of them. On the contrary, although the enemy killed the two of them, he gave them a chance to reincarnate. Many thanks. The two spirits finally spoke up. However, Ningfan's expression remained unmoved. He said indifferently, "Choose a good master in your next life." There were two types of enemies. The first type was those that he had no choice but to kill. If such people were worthy of his respect, Ningfan would only kill them once and not destroy the cycle of reincarnation. The other type was those that he had to kill. For such people, even their souls would be destroyed and they would be buried in the cycle of reincarnation. No one would be able to protect Zhao Zijing anymore. His originally elegant and handsome face was now distorted due to excessive fear. No. Impossible. That was the self-destruction of a nascent soul realm cultivator. How could you block it so easily? Impossible. You can't kill me. You can't. I will give you whatever you want. I will even become your slave. I don't need a slave like you. Ningfan lifted his foot and stomped down on Zhao Zijing's head. At this moment, two muffled voices that had been hiding in the dark for a long time finally resounded. "Fellow Taoist Zhou, please have mercy. Little friend, please stop." Ningfan's eyes turned cold. Judging from the aura of these two people, they were undoubtedly spirit-severing realm cultivators. From the moment he entered the Phoenix Ascending platform, Ningfan already knew that there were spirit-severing realm cultivators lying in wait here. Moreover, he could vaguely sense that there were a few spirit-severing realm cultivators here. The news did not spread on the island at all. After all, the 7 sons of the external endless sea were the future successors of the 10 sections. Even if the spirit-severing realm old ancestors did not like them, they would still protect them. One of the two people who stopped Ningfan was the spirit-severing realm old ancestor of the Purple Charm sect, Zuotong. The other person was the spirit-severing realm old ancestor of the Cloud-treading sect, Yen Zhongzi. There were 2 reasons why they came to the Pleasure Devil Sea. Firstly, it was Su Rushan's invitation to oversee the Pleasure Devil Sea. After all, there would be a divine transformation realm cauldron being auctioned in the Pleasure Devil Sea. Some of the divine transformation realm experts in the internal sea might hide their cultivation base and go against the agreement between the Rain Palace and the internal sea by going out to the sea on their own. Secondly, it was to protect the 7 disciples of the outer sea when necessary. After all, these 7 people were the most likely to break through to the divine transformation realm in the next 1,000 years. They might be the future successors of the 10 sects. As for Zhao Zijing, the 2 semi-god realm cultivators didn't take him seriously at all. Whether it was his intelligence, character, cultivation level, or talent, he was the weakest among the 7 disciples. If Zhou Ming killed this person, even if the Xuanda sect's own soul formation patriarch was dissatisfied, they would not go to the extent of fighting Zhou Ming to death just because of Zhao Zijing. If everything went as expected, Zhou Ming would definitely reach the soul formation stage in the next few hundred years. Once he did, he would be invincible in the early stages. There were 13 soul formation cultivators in the outer endless sea, and no one was willing to become his mortal enemy. However, if the 2 of them watched as Zhou Ming slaughtered the outer sea's 7 scions, they would not be able to justify themselves if they did nothing. What did the outside world say about them? 2 dignified soul formation cultivators didn't dare to save Zhou Ming because they were afraid of him? It could be said that they were afraid of him after the incident, but it would be described as fear before the incident. From their point of view, it was more than enough for them to protect Zhao Zijing. No matter how arrogant Zhou Ming was, he would still have to give them some face before he reached the divine transformation realm. However, Ningfan was not surprised at all when the two of them stopped him. He had already expected that the two of them would definitely stop him if he really killed Zhao Zijing. However, what he wanted to see was not the performance of the two of them, but the attitude of the third divine transformation realm cultivator. Su Rushan was also here. However, he did not show himself. He was still observing. From Su Rushan's standpoint, he should protect Zhao Zijing. However, he was hesitating. On one hand, he wanted to please Ningfan. On the other hand, he wanted to maintain the relationship between the 10 sects. Even though this person relies on me, he still doesn't think highly of me. He knows that I'm the #1 cultivator below the divine transformation realm. But he doesn't know whether I'm close to the divine transformation realm or not. Therefore, he isn't sure what kind of benefits he should use to please me. The profound Jade Palace was just a test. The 50 drops of dark milk was also a test. I'm testing his sincerity while he's testing my strength. Since that's the case, I'll show my strength and see what kind of benefits this Su Rushan is willing to pay in order to befriend me. Ningfan's eyes flashed with determination, and he stomped his foot. Zhao Zijing's head was crushed by that stomp and his brain was smashed into smithereens. As for Ningfan, he grabbed Zhao Zijing's fleeing nascent soul with his big hand and swallowed it whole. The nascent soul realm cultivators of the 6th sex felt a chill and their nascent souls trembled. It was as if the stomp had crushed their heads, and the bite had swallowed their nascent souls. What they found the most unbelievable was that Zhou Ming was arrogant enough to kill 2 divine transformation realm cultivators in front of them. The expression of the old ancestor of the purple talisman sect darkened. His veins twitched, but he endured it, and did not attack Ningfan immediately. As for the old ancestor of the treading cloud sect, Yin Zhongzi, he had always been an unyielding person. When he saw that Zhou Ming did not buy into his plea, he immediately felt as if his face had been slapped. Zhou Ming, how dare you? Yin Zhongzi was wearing a linen robe. He had white hair and a youthful face, which made him look majestic. His body transformed into clouds and mist and shattered them. At the next moment, his true body was revealed. He appeared 1 zhang away from Ningfan, and slammed his palm on Ningfan's head. It was a low-grade divine transformation realm escaping technique, wind and cloud art. This palm seemed to be soft and powerless. However, the softness of this palm could change the hardness of the heavens and earth. It was a low-grade divine transformation realm body refining technique, soft cloud quake. The power of this palm was like the clouds and mist of the heavens and earth, turning into a tangible form. Ningfan's eyes narrowed. This Yin Zhongzi was actually a jade life body refinement realm cultivator. Moreover, his body refining technique was extremely extraordinary. Ordinary people would cultivate the hardness, while he cultivated the softness. This palm was powerful enough to kill an ordinary peak nascent soul cultivator. However, Ningfan was not afraid of it. He had the Stone Warrior, the Female Corpse and the Yuanyao world. Even if Su Rushan, Yin Zhongzi and Zuotong attacked him at the same time, he was confident that he could escape unscathed. He could even kill one of them. This was the guarantee of his strength that allowed him to kill a spirit-severing realm expert in front of him. Without this guarantee, he would not deliberately act insolently. Moreover, Ningfan could see that although this Yin Zhongzi appeared to be righteous on the surface and had an unyielding character, he actually held back 70% of his softness and only 30% of his strength. This fellow did not have the intention to fight Ningfan at all. Instead, he was hinting to Ningfan that he did not have the intention to become enemies with Ningfan. The reason why he attacked was to save the face of the spirit-severing realm experts. Otherwise, it would be inexcusable if he watched his 7 sons die without doing anything. The reason why he attacked was to give old ancestor Xuanda an explanation if he were to ask about it in the future. However, he did not want to become enemies with Ningfan. Thus, he held back 70% of his softness and only left 30% of his strength. In his opinion, Ningfan had a half-step jade life body refinement realm. It would not be difficult for him to withstand 30% of his strength. That's right. Yin Zhongzi did not plan to fight to the death with Zhou Ming for Zhao Zijing. Old man Xianda has given a strict order to the sect. He said that if anyone dares to pester Zhou Ming and court their own death, they will have to bear the consequences. If he doesn't go against Zhou Ming, why would I go against Zhou Ming for the sake of his disciples and grand disciples? None of the spirit-severing realm experts in the external endless sea were fools. There was another reason why he attacked Yin Zhongzi. Su Rushan invited him to test Ning Fan's strength. The female corpse's eyes flashed when she saw Yin Zhongzi attacking Ning Fan. However, Ning Fan stopped her attack. Ning Fan wanted to receive this palm attack himself. He wanted to see how far away he was from the spirit-severing realm. Ice shatter. Heaven and earth trembled with that punch, but it did not freeze. When this punch landed on Yin Zhongzi's soft palm, the hard and fierce force disappeared without a trace, like a clay ox entering the sea. Even though 30% of the palm's strength was dissipated, Ning Fan's full force attack could not completely break through Yin Zhongzi's palm attack. The result was unsatisfactory. Ning Fan was secretly shocked. The spirit-severing realm body technique was indeed extraordinary. His nascent realm body technique, Ice Shatter, seemed to be unable to hurt a spirit-severing realm expert. Yin Zhongzi secretly felt a trace of contempt. Su Rushan seemed to have exaggerated this kid too much. He said that there would be life-threatening danger within 10 zhang of him. Didn't I just come into contact with his palm and fist? Moreover, this kid's full force attack was only equivalent to 30% of my casual palm attack. Even though it was enough to be the #1 expert below the spirit-severing realm, there was still a huge gap between him and a spirit-severing realm expert. But at the next moment, all of his contempt turned into the urge to curse. Ow! How is this possible? This is, the Earth Star in Ning Fan's right eye lit up. A surge of evil intent entered Yin Zhongzi's body from the point where their fist and palm collided. Ning Fan did not intend to use the Yuan Yao world to take Yin Zhongzi away. Otherwise, he would have 30% confidence to take him away at such a close distance. Kill him. This person had no evil intent, so there was no need for him to risk his life. However, he could not show any weakness. Su Rushan was watching. Evil intent. The Earth Star seemed to have formed a starry vortex in Ning Fan's right eye. The evil intent that entered Yin Zhongzi's body immediately wreaked havoc and turned into endless heart devils. Yin Zhongzi's face turned green and red as he was caught off guard. In a panic, he immediately separated his attack from Ning Fan and turned into a cloud of smoke. With a flash, he returned to the sky. However, as soon as he returned to Zuotong's side, his chi was already in a mess. His eyes became ruthless and he punched his own chest. His chi immediately weakened, and he was only able to force out a mouthful of black blood that was filled with evil intent. Heart devil evil intent. Yin Zhongzi looked at Ning Fan with extreme fear. Zuotong also felt his scalp tingling. Ning Fan's punch was ordinary, but it contained the heart devil evil intent. Tease. Who would dare to have physical contact with him? Fortunately, this evil intent seemed to have just condensed, and there were not many of them. Otherwise, this fist of evil intent was enough to shatter Yin Zhongzi's Dao heart and severely injure him. This kid has a heaven-defying technique. Is the heart devil evil intent a technique that can be controlled by a cultivator? No wonder Su Rushan was full of praises for this kid. This kid can't be underestimated. The nascent soul realm cultivators of the sixth sex were shocked when they saw the spirit-severing realm old ancestor spitting out a mouthful of blood. Is this the strength of the strongest cultivator below the spirit-severing realm? Wang Yin swallowed his saliva. He didn't know that old ancestor Yin only used 30% of his strength, but he knew that his physical body would definitely crumble and be severely injured if he faced this attack. In the dark, Su Rushan nodded his head slightly. To be able to withstand 30% of Yin Zhongzi's strength and use the heart devil evil intent to attack, Zhou Ming's strength seemed to be above his expectation. It was worth it to rope him in. Little friend, it's already extraordinary that you can withstand 30% of Yin Zhongzi's strength. As long as this old man helps you with pills, magical treasures and spiritual equipment, it won't be difficult for you to kill 150 wild beasts in the secret realm of the broken world. Pills, magical treasures, spiritual equipment. Ning Fan took 7 steps back to neutralize Yin Zhongzi's attack. Even though he wasn't injured, his expression didn't look good. Half-step Jade Life Realm might be half-step, but there was a huge difference between it and the true Jade Life Realm. Moreover, his body refining technique was still at the nascent soul level. It was too far away from the transformation level. His physical techniques were only enough to take on 30% of Yanzhong's palm strength. That bit of evil intent was just a trick. The evil thoughts were condensed by him after he withdrew the secret lotus magical art. He could only condense 11 strands of evil thoughts. The power of 11 strands of evil thoughts was equivalent to 11 units of magic power. It was enough to breed Yanzhong's inner demon and force him to harm himself. However, that was all. It was not enough to kill the enemy with the evil thoughts. If there were tens of thousands of such evil thoughts, Ningfan could cause Yanzhong's heart to be in chaos with just a glance. With the fiend qi, he could rival a soul formation cultivator. If he had 50,000 of them, he could even fight against a mid-soul formation cultivator. If he had 150,000, what would the late stage have to fear? If he had 500,000 of them, he could become one of the 7 venerables of the internal ocean. If he had 1,000,000 Dao, he would become a void refinement realm expert. However, it was not enough. He could only resort to trickery with the 11 evil thoughts, and he was not willing to resort to trickery. He couldn't accept the result of withstanding 30% of Yanzhong's palm force. Medicinal pills, magical treasures, spirit equipment, these are not enough. I want Mother Earth's heart. His gaze focused as he transmitted his voice to Su Russian. Mother Earth's heart? This item is extremely precious. However, with fellow Taoist strength, it's not enough for me to rope you in. Su Russian frowned. How can it be enough? 5 palm strikes. The most powerful thing about Yanzhong's is that he can overlap his palm force. If you can withstand the combined power of 5 of his palm strikes, I will give you Mother Earth's heart. However, you can only withstand 30% of his palm force. 5 palm strikes is too difficult for you. Alright. 5 palm strikes. Other than Zuotong and Yanzhong's, the 2 spirit-severing realm cultivators, the conversation between Ningfan and Su Russian was intentionally heard by them. None of the nascent soul realm cultivators present at the scene knew about it. Yanzhong's frowned and looked at Ningfan indifferently. Little friend Zhou, the path of cultivation requires one to advance courageously and courageously. However, it's easy to break something that's too rigid. After all, you aren't a spirit-severing realm cultivator. It's impossible for you to withstand 5 palm strikes from me. How would I know if I don't try? Ningfan faced the sky with his long hair fluttering in the wind. His battle intent was intense. That's right. That's right. My fist technique is weaker than Yanzhong's. The nascent soul realm ice-shattering and half-step jade life realm are not the main reason. The real reason is that my fist technique lacks a trace of divine intent. The reason why my body refinement realm is still half a step away from the jade life realm is because the jade life realm is similar to the spirit severing realm. When one reaches this realm, his strength must contain the divine intent. Ningfan had comprehended the divine intent of rain before. However, this divine intent is too soft and not suitable for his fierce fist technique. Moreover, the rain comes from the clouds. Yanzhong's divine intent is the clouds. Ningfan's divine intent of rain is ultimately weaker than him. In his right eye, the devil star was spinning. On his back, the devil marks were flashing. A surge of monstrous devil might was gathering in Ningfan's body. I've never submitted to anyone in my life. Whether it's Moksha Sovereign, Bone Sovereign, White Devil Sect, or the mysterious True Immortal. If I fuse this unyielding intent into my fist technique, and condense a second type of divine intent into my fist technique, I will be able to fight against Yanzhong's today. Today, I will be able to step into the Jade Life realm. Today, I won't be weaker than anyone. The coldness in his eyes faded away and his battle intent soared. His gaze shocked Yanzhong's for the first time. This kid is trying to comprehend the bottleneck of the Jade Life realm by taking on my palm force. In his body, a surge of divine intent is taking shape. Moreover, this divine intent is somewhat extraordinary. His eyes were solemn. He waved his sleeve and a wild cloud rolled up. pushing the nascent soul realm cultivators of the sixth sex 1,000 li away. Within 1,000 li, he pointed his finger at the clouds and completely sealed them. Then Yan Zhongzi's eyes turned solemn and looked at Ning Fan. The divine intent of ordinary people is either imitating the flowers, birds, insects and fishes or seeking the intent realm from the 5 elements of heaven and earth. Even though there are many types of them, they will eventually fuse with the Tao heart. Yan Zhongzi's divine intent was like the clouds. The clouds were ethereal, which was why they were hard to grasp. The clouds were unpredictable, which was why they were cunning. The clouds were soft, which was why they would rather bend than break. He Yan Zhongzi was like a cloud that moved according to the time. However, in Yan Zhongzi's eyes, the current Ning Fan was like a towering mountain that was filled with devil qi, piercing the sky and unyielding. Ning Fan's battle intent was unyielding. Even the heaven and earth couldn't make him yield. At this moment, Ning Fan's unyielding battle intent was enough to make Yan Zhongzi feel pressured. If he could condense his divine intent, no matter what kind of divine intent it was, he would be able to fight against Yan Zhongzi. Su Rushan appeared and exchanged glances with Swatong. Both of them used their magical power to seal the qi of heaven and earth. The battle here would not leak out a single bit. Su Rushan wanted to see if this kid could take on 5 palm strikes from Yan Zhongzi. If he can take 5 palm strikes, I will give you the heart of Mother Earth. But can he do it? Yan Zhongzi landed on the rising bird platform. Ning Fan stroked the hair of the female corpse, indicating that it was fine. With a step, he stepped over the pool of Zhao Zijing's blood and leaped onto the platform. The 1,000 zhang tall bronze platform was filled with battle intent. Yan Zhongzi moved his palm and Ning Fan moved his fist. You want to use my cloud intent to comprehend your unyielding intent? Fine. I will fulfill your wish. It can also be considered as forming a good karma with fellow Taoist Zhou. However, let me remind you that you won't be able to withstand 5 of my palms. If you can withstand 3 of my palms, I'll help you as a lobbyist and convince Old Man Su to gift you the heart of Mother Earth. The first palm strike. Yan Zhongzi gently struck his palm. It was soft and powerless, but when it landed on the heaven and earth, countless clouds on the island crumbled and turned into traces of cloud power. The cloud power formed a palm strike. 1,000 zhang tall cloud palm glowing with golden light slammed down from the sky. Wherever the palm wind passed, the sky would shatter, revealing the dark void. This palm strike contained 100% of his strength. Any cultivator below the spirit-severing realm would die the moment they came into contact with the palm force. Under the palm wind, Ning Fan's knees softened, and he had the intention of kneeling on the ground. No wonder Yan Zhongzi didn't use his full strength earlier. If he used his full strength in front of everyone, Ning Fan would be forced to kneel and be humiliated. The enmity between the two of them would be irreconcilable. Ning Fan's knee bone was in so much pain that it felt like it was going to break, but he refused to kneel. I will not kneel. If I do, who will protect the people behind me? I will not kneel. Even if his kneecaps were crushed, Ning Fan would not kneel. Jade life, jade life. The word jade was not jade, but the spirit of I would rather die than be a jade. If I am overcautious, my fist intent will collapse. If I retreat, my Tao heart will die. My body can die, but my intent will not perish. My fist can shatter jade, but my heart will not yield. This is the divine intent. This is the jade life. At this moment he forgot about the pain and everything else. In his eyes, there was only the palm above his head. The heaven and earth became silent. Shatter ice. He struck his fist, but this time, the ice between the heaven and earth was black. That black color was a monstrous devil intent. Swatong, Yan Zhongzi, and Su Rushan. They were spirit-severing realm cultivators. They had divine intent. What Ning Fan was condensing was devil intent. Although it had yet to take form, its aura had already surpassed the divine intent of rain. It was comparable to a 7th grade divine intent, and was still rising. Chapter 226. Black Ice. The corner of Yan Zhongzi's eyes shrunk. This ice gave him an extremely uncomfortable feeling. Almost in the blink of an eye, Ning Fan's fists rained down like a storm, striking Jin Yin with 27 consecutive punches. Dong, dong, dong. The ice fist struck the golden cloud, but produced an unusually dull sound. Each of the 27 punches made Ning Fan and the Phoenix ascending platform take a step back, as if their bodies could not withstand the counterforce of the punches. Every time he took a step back, a deep footprint was left on the bronze platform. On the 27th punch, Ning Fan suddenly raised his head and laughed heartily towards the sky. What a gentle cloudquake, Yanzhongzi. However, if you want to make me submit with a single palm strike, that's not enough. Ning Fan's aura force was condensed and the cold ice was shattered. It was as if a storm had risen around his body, scattering the black snow and soaring into the sky. The power of the 27 fists merged into one, and the golden cloud shook with a loud rumble, turning into golden light and shattering. He, Ning Fan, had completely withstood the attack of his jade life. The strong wind caused by the shattering of the golden cloud swept out. Countless plants and trees in the 1,000-mile island region were destroyed. He actually withstood Yanzhongzi's all-out attack. Purple Talisman ancestors Wutong's eyes flickered with astonishment. Among the 13 Divine Transformation Realm cultivators in the Outer Endless, only Yanzhongzi and Su Rushan were capable of withstanding Yanzhongzi's full-force palm strike with their corporeal body. Even he's Wutong could not do it. Only Su Rushan could do it. This kid has done something that Is Wutong couldn't. He's truly extraordinary. Although this young man had yet to reach the Divine Transformation Realm, his skills were so powerful that even a Divine Transformation Realm expert would find it hard to defeat him. It seemed like he had done the right thing by not holding him accountable for the death of the sect's great cultivators. Yanzhongzi's gaze froze, and then he laughed out loud. What an arrogant kid. I like him. He could naturally tell that even though Ning Fan was at the half-step Jade Life realm, he was just at the late nascent Soul realm. Despite being at the late nascent Soul realm, he was already the strongest person below the Divine Transformation realm. It would be fine if this young man was not at the Soul formation stage, but if he was, he would be able to sweep through the Internal Endless Sea, except for the 7 venerables of the Internal Endless Sea. Su Rushan was secretly delighted, but he didn't show it on his face. Ning Fan's punch was more than enough to instantly kill the false wild beast. With such strength, as long as he gave his all in the Broken World Mystic Domain, it would not be surprising for this person to kill 150 desolate beasts. However, Su Rushan realized that the more Ning Fan revealed his strength, the more he could not see through him. That day when he was within 10 zhang of me, the danger that I felt from him was not because of his body refining technique. This kid is still hiding something. This Zhou Ming dares to hide his strength when facing a soul formation cultivator. I won't use the magnetic force, so I can only withstand Yanzhongzi's 7 combined palms. If this young man can withstand 5 of Yanzhongzi's palms, his combat strength will be comparable to a Divine Transformation cultivator. Ning Fan didn't care about the thoughts of the crowd. He closed his eyes and repeated the 27 punches with a frown on his face. No, it shouldn't be like this. Although he had taken on Yanzhongzi's palm strike, it was a combination of 27 punches. Unknowingly, he had already admitted defeat to Yanzhongzi. He admitted that the strength of his punch was no match for Yanzhongzi's palm strike. How could this be considered unyielding? It was clear that he had already submitted before he punched out. Even though he won, he was still defeated. Still not enough. He suddenly raised his head and stared intently at Yanzhongzi. The black vortex in his right eye became even darker. All right. Good. Kid, you really suit this old man's taste. Looks like this old man has underestimated you. In this case, this old man will let you experience the palm fusion technique that this old man created. The aura in Yanzhongzi's eyes changed. He shouted coldly and clapped his palms together. The Phoenix ascending platform collapsed with a loud bang. The two of them stood on the ground and faced each other again. Yanzhongzi's aura rose rapidly. When it reached its peak, he struck out with both of his palms. 2 rays of dazzling golden light fell from the sky and turned into a golden palm imprint. The 2 palms fused together, but the power was 4 times stronger than the first. I once killed 3 peak realm cultivators with a single palm strike. I heard that you killed 3 tower masters of the Lost World Palace alone. However, you might not be able to withstand this palm strike. Is that so? Ningfan's mind was unwavering. It was as if his heart had turned into a black mountain that wouldn't crumble in the face of Mount Tai. It was impossible for him to be scared off by Yan Zhong's words. Unyielding, unyielding. What is unyielding? How can one be unyielding? Cultivators are like ants when the sky is turned upside down. How can one be unyielding? Ningfan struggled in his heart. It was as if there was a barrier that he couldn't break through. His bones had already turned into silver. However, he still couldn't enter the Jade Life realm. The golden palm imprint fell on his head. Ningfan no longer had any time to think. He threw out 21 punches in a row with his body's instincts. The combined force of the 21 punches was not even as powerful as the first 27 punches. However, the power of the combined force seemed to be a few times stronger than before. The number of punches decreased, but the power was greater. When the fist and the palm collided, the palm imprint collapsed. Ningfan took a dozen steps back and steadied his body. His eyes flashed. I understand now. At this moment, his soul gradually gained a hint of jade color. His body refining realm was slowly advancing towards the Jade Life realm. Hiss! Yanzhongzi and the other 2 spirit-severing realm cultivators sucked in a cold breath. The combined force of the second palm strike was 4 times stronger than the first. From their point of view, unless Ningfan threw out 108 punches in a row, he definitely wouldn't be able to withstand this palm strike. With Ningfan's body refining realm, it would be difficult for him to complete the combined force of 108 punches in a split second. Most likely he wouldn't be able to withstand this palm strike. However, the result was beyond their expectations. Facing the palm force that was 4 times stronger than the first, Ningfan only used 21 punches to withstand the palm imprint. How? How is this possible? Yanzhong's eyes turned solemn. He could already see through Ningfan's technique with 27 punches in the first round. However, he couldn't fathom the 21 punches in the second round. Interesting. If you can withstand my combined force of 3 palm strikes, I will be your lobbyist and ask Old Man Su for the Earth Mother's heart. Alright. This time Su Russian didn't insist on 5 palm strikes. He agreed to 3 palm strikes at once. He couldn't see through Ningfan anymore. However, he was even more certain that with Ningfan's help, his troubles wouldn't be a problem anymore. Ningfan didn't respond. He seemed to have understood something, and was waiting for the combined force of 3 palm strikes. Yanzhongzi performed a hand seal, and displayed a secret technique. In a split second, he turned into a 500 zhang tall giant. I can only execute the combined force of 3 palm strikes if I have the Dharma image body. Otherwise, I won't be able to withstand the backlash of the palm force. My physical body will definitely collapse. Little friend, take this. The giant's roar was as loud as thunder. However, Ningfan didn't turn into a giant like him. Yanzhongzi shot out 3 streaks of golden lightning from his palm. The lightning turned into a giant palm. The golden palm soared into the sky and pressed down on Ningfan. The combined force of the combined force of the combined force of the 3 palm strikes was 9 times stronger than the first palm strike. This palm strike had once injured the weakest rogue cultivator among the 13 divine transformation realm cultivators in the external endless sea, forcing him to go into seclusion for 10 years. If Ningfan could withstand this palm strike, his combat power would be comparable to the weakest divine transformation realm cultivator. However, Yanzhongzi, who had turned into a giant, had a doubtful look in his eyes. He wanted to know how many punches Ningfan would use to withstand this palm strike. If his guess was right, it might be less than 21 punches. However, why was it like this? Facing the overwhelming palm strike, Ningfan's nascent soul in his dantian was on the verge of shattering. However, he didn't give in despite the force of the palm strike tearing his body apart. The Earth Star in his right eye became even darker. This time, Ningfan took 7 steps back and threw out 7 punches. The force of the 7 punches was originally insignificant. However, when they combined into one, it was like the shadow of a mountain flashing across the sky. As the shadow of the mountain approached, the force of the punches rose to an unimaginable level in an instant. These 7 punches had almost exhausted all of Ningfan's strength. However, the 7 punches were like 7 rays of starlight that pierced through the golden palm strike. He had withstood the combined force of the 3 palm strikes. Ningfan coughed out a mouthful of blood. It seemed like his dantian was injured by the force of the palm strike. However, his eyes shone with brilliance. As expected, the first time he combined 27 punches into one. Although the force of his punches was unparalleled, the invisible submission made his punches less unyielding will. The second time he combined all 21 punches into one. The force of his punches was reduced, but the momentum was stronger. The third time he combined all 7 punches into one. The force of his punches had risen to an unimaginable level. The force of each punch did not change, but the momentum of his punches had changed. The power of his punches had also changed. If he had thrown out 7 punches from the beginning, he definitely wouldn't have this kind of force. When the force reaches its limit, it would become momentum. When the momentum reaches its limit, it would become intent. Nascent soul realm cultivators could sense the primordial force of heaven and earth and understand the great momentum. When they have a deep understanding of the great momentum, they would attain the divine transformation realm and condense the divine intent. The divine intent was the control of the great momentum. It was the understanding of the rules. Although the force of his 7 punches was reduced, the trace of divine intent that had yet to condense was able to borrow the force of his punches from heaven and earth. Suddenly, a trace of enlightenment rose in his mind. If he could withstand Yanzhong's palm strike with the force of his punch, his momentum would rise to its peak, and he would be able to completely condense the second type of divine intent. With this, he would be able to step into the Jade Life realm. I want the Jade Life realm. At this moment, Ningfan's eyes revealed a trace of determination. It was the same as when he formed his nascent soul in the past. Yanzhongzi, who was on the ruins of the Soaring Bird platform, Su Rushan and Zuotong, who were in the night sky, were deeply shocked. It was because they could feel a trace of divine intent that was slowly condensing from Ningfan's body. However, that divine intent did not have any divinity. It was too arrogant, overbearing and sharp. Rather than calling it divine intent, it would be better to call it devil intent. Devil intent, the intent realm of the divine transformation realm of the devil race. At this moment, they finally understood why the force of Ningfan's punches became stronger when the number of punches decreased. It was because there was a trace of devil intent. Devil intent. It can't be wrong. Those who can condense devil intent must first possess the immemorial devil vein. Secondly, he must be an inverse cultivator of the true devil Tao. All of us have misjudged him. This young man is actually such a terrifying devil cultivator. Devil intent. There are only a few devil cultivators in the internal sea who can condense devil intent. Zuotong heaved a deep sigh. When the devil intent rose in Ningfan's eyes, Zuotong felt a trace of danger from him. The grade of this devil intent isn't low. It seems to be at the 7th grade. However, it seems to be advancing towards the 6th grade. 6th grade is almost a legendary grade in our small rain world. Although the 6th grade is just an ordinary grade in the 4 heavens. Yanzhong's eyes revealed a hint of contemplation. Forget it. Fortunately, we have blocked the fluctuations of this place. No one should be able to find out that Zhou Ming is condensing his devil intent. Let's forget about the agreement of 5 palm strikes. 3 palm strikes is enough for me to use all my strength to befriend this person. Even if it's not for the secret realm of the broken world. It's impossible for this person's cultivation realm to be limited to the divine transformation realm in this lifetime. If he becomes a void fragmentation realm expert, I'm afraid the entire rain world will change hands with his domineering character. Perhaps he will become the second Thunder Sovereign Bu Zhou. Su Rushan took a deep breath and made up his mind. As long as Ningfan completely condenses his devil intent, he would use all the resources in the Pleasure Devil Sea to befriend him. However, just as his voice fell, Ningfan shook his head. He raised his head and looked at the starry sky. The 3 divine stars were shining brightly. The Imperial Lightning Divine Star, the Earth-dominating Devil Star, and the wood palm demon star. I want to receive the 5 palm strikes. His tone was indifferent. However, when the 3 stars shone at the same time, they immediately formed an indescribable majestic aura, causing the expressions of Su Rushan and the other 2 dignified divine transformation realm experts to change drastically. 3 stars of fiend gods and devils. How is this possible? Moreover, the attributes of the 3 stars seemed to be completely different. Suotong and Yanzhongzi did not understand it. Even Su Rushan, who had condensed half a divine star, could not understand it. There were very few people in the 9 worlds who could see through the profound mysteries of the 3 stars. There were very few people below the true immortal realm who could withstand the majestic aura of the 3 combined stars. I want to receive the 5 palm strikes. This sentence sounded ordinary. However, when it fell into Yanzhongzi's ears, it was like an order that he did not dare to disobey. Is this absolute command? No, it's not. But what exactly is this majestic aura that made me not dare to resist it? Yanzhongzi secretly swallowed a mouthful of saliva. For the first time, he felt reverence towards Ningfan. He did not know that the combination of the 3 stars was not the cultivation of a god, devil or demon, but the immortal sovereign Tao. Immortal sovereign. It was a realm that countless true immortals could not reach in their entire lives. Yanzhongzi did not understand it. However, he instinctively obeyed Ningfan's order. He gritted his teeth and consumed a secret medicine, causing the veins on his giant body to bulge. Little friend Zhou Ming, the 5 palm strikes is already my strongest attack without harming myself. If you can withstand it, you will be ranked 10th among the 13 divine transformation realm experts in the external endless sea. The 5 palm strikes, soft cloud quake, golden cloud shatter. The giant waved his palm. 5 rays of golden light shot up into the sky and turned into a golden sea of clouds that stretched for 1,000 li. The sea of clouds was like a palm, but it did not have the appearance of a palm print. All of the palm force had entered the clouds. The cloud intent was treacherous and ever-changing. The palm strike did not leave any trace. The golden clouds pressed down on the city, threatening to destroy it. As the giant's palm struck down, the golden clouds that stretched for 1,000 li collapsed as if the sky was collapsing. Such aura force was enough to make ordinary peak nascent soul cultivators tremble in fear. However, in Ningfan's eyes, it was as calm as still water. No matter how strong a cloud is, it is still a cloud. Ningfan muttered to himself. At this moment, in his eyes, the 1,000 li golden cloud was nothing to be afraid of without its appearance. No matter how strong a cloud is, it is still a cloud. There was no cloud that could shake a mountain. The devil marks on his back were scorching hot and stinging. The Saturn in his right eye felt like it was burning. His muscles and bones were all broken. His flesh was badly mutilated and his skin was torn. He looked like a man made of blood. Only his eyes were still as calm as before. An ancient and boundless devil might rose around Ningfan's body. When this devil might reached its peak, a trace of boundless divine intent swept across the heavens. In the 1,000 li vast black mist formed a gigantic mountain. That gigantic mountain could pierce the heavens and suppress the devil abyss. The deep and serene devil Qi shocked Yanzhongzi and the other 2. That Zhou Ming really condensed his divine intent. However, what kind of mountain is this? But what kind of divine intent is this divine intent? Divine intent of mountain? No. The divine intent of mountain was just an 8th grade divine intent, and it was known for its heaviness. However, this divine intent, no devil intent, was fierce and unyielding. Yanzhongzi had never seen such a terrifying divine intent in his entire life. It could actually condense the shadow of a mountain with just a single thought. He did not know what this divine intent was called, but he knew that it was a 6th grade divine intent. Facing this divine intent, which was of a higher grade, his cloud intent felt submissive. I am a mountain. As soon as Ningfan's words fell, he threw out a punch. The devil moved, the sky shattered and the clouds collapsed. The color of jade floated. His entire soul was dyed with a faint jade color. At this moment he stepped into the jade life realm with a single step. The barrier was broken. The power of the 5 combined palms was 25 times stronger than a single palm strike. However, this time, Ning Fan was as still as a mountain. He did not take a single step back. As soon as he threw out his punch, the golden cloud collapsed. At the moment when the cloud collapsed, the giant that Yin Zhongzi had transformed into was violently shaken. He coughed out blood and fell to the ground. His heart was filled with shock. He could not withstand this punch unless he used all of his means. As for Su Rushan, his face was filled with shock and doubt. It was because he faintly felt that he had seen this mountain totem before. If he was not mistaken, this mountain was probably the totem of the ancestral token that venerated giant worshipped. Could this young man be the one that venerated giant is waiting for? Chapter 227. In the mysterious Emerald Palace, Ning Fan was sitting cross-legged in his room, meditating. The female corpse was quietly sewing his clothes. On the third day, Su Rushan got a satisfactory answer from Ning Fan's mouth. Ning Fan, who was at the Jade Life Realm, agreed to Su Rushan's request. The price he had to pay was the Earth Mother's heart, and everything related to the Pleasure Devil Island. As long as Ning Fan asks, Su Rushan must support him unconditionally. Elixirs, magic treasures, spirit equipment, spirit iron, cauldron, immortal jade, elixir recipes, cultivation techniques, Su Rushan did not refuse. If one were to say that he was asking for help when they first met, and he was trying to curry favor with Ning Fan during the battle on the Rising Sparrow platform, then after witnessing Ning Fan's devil intent mountain shadow, his attitude towards Ning Fan was almost respectful. Moreover, the matter of killing Zhao Zijing was actually settled by Su Rushan without any news being spread out. Su Rushan's attitude is a little strange, but I don't think he has any ill intentions. Forget it. I still need to completely stabilize my Jade Life realm. While Ning Fan was pondering, Yulong's respectful voice resounded from outside the door. This old servant Yulong requests an audience. Enter. After getting Ning Fan's promise, Yulong took a deep breath and pushed the door open. He carried the heavy storage pouch and entered the room. His eyes were filled with admiration. Reporting to Revered Lord, I have already obtained the 10,000 years old spiritual herbs that Revered Lord needed. Just like what Revered Lord expected, the market square of Pleasure Devil Sect did not reject Revered Lord's request at all. They even ordered me to bring back 10 bottles of upper-grade 4th Revolution body-shaping pills. Devil Bone pills, a total of 104 pills for Revered Lord to inspect. How could they not worship him? In the territory of the 10 sects where the soul formation cultivators were guarding, not only did he not pay a visit to Su Rushan, he even made Su Rushan pay a huge price to make friends with him. 104 Devil Bone pills were worth at least 10 million immortal jade. He, Yulong, was not a fool. If it wasn't for Su Rushan's order, no one in the Pleasure Devil Sect would dare to give such a heavy gift to others. Su Rushan, the ancestral master of the spirit-severing realm, was trying his best to please his master. The ancestral patriarchs of the outer endless seas were nothing. In front of his own master, he still had to be respectful. Yulong's eyes were burning with passion. Being able to become Ning Fan's slave was really the luckiest thing that had ever happened to him in his life. When he entered the Pleasure Devil Sect this time, he could be said to be high-spirited and elated. It would be better if I can raise my cultivation level to the peak nascent soul realm before entering the secret realm. However, it seems like I don't have enough time. As for divine transformation realm body refinement techniques, I might be able to ask for a few of them, but I probably don't have enough time to cultivate them. I heard that Su Rushan has even prepared a set of spiritual equipment for me. All of them are of the earth profound grade. Ning Fan shook his storage pouch and kept the medicinal ingredients for the appearance restoration pill. Then he took out a bottle of Devil Bone pills and consumed them. This pill was a high-grade 4th Revolution pill. Its medicinal effect was extremely overbearing, and its devil nature was extremely strong. Ordinary cultivators would usually feel unbearable pain when they use it to reshape their bodies. However, when Ning Fan consumed this pill, he felt that its medicinal effect was mild and refreshing. Moreover, it even resonated with the profound earth devil marks on his back. Devil pill, huh? It's a special pill of the devil race. It resonates with my devil marks. Behind Su Rushan is venerated giant of the giant devil clan, one of the 7 venerated beings of the internal sea. This giant devil clan seems to be quite extraordinary. Ning Fan recollected his thoughts and focused on refining the medicinal power. 3 days later, he pushed open the door and went out. Bathing in the wind and snow, he looked calm and composed. His minor injuries were completely healed. Even some of his internal injuries were treated by the pills. His Jade Life Body Refinement realm had completely stabilized at the first level. Moreover, it had improved by a small margin. It was almost 1/3 of the way to the second level of Jade Life. Standing in the snow, Ning Fan's expression did not change. He bent his hand and made a grabbing motion. The force of his grabbing motion seemed to have caused a violent gust of wind to blow across the vast sky. The black snow flew in the opposite direction and condensed into the shadow of a gigantic claw. As it clenched its fist, it felt like the sky was going to be torn apart. He did not use any magic power in this grab. However, it seemed to have surpassed the limits of physical strength. Force must come into contact in order to injure the enemy. Force must be formed into a technique in order to injure the enemy. However, with Ning Fan's current Jade Life realm, even an early nascent soul realm cultivator would be directly crushed by the force of this grab from a distance. Ning Fan remained silent. In the past, his body refinement technique was to turn the body into a giant. However, after obtaining the Corpse Devil record, this technique focused more on improving the defense of his physical body instead of focusing on turning the body into a giant. The Corpse Devil record condensed Saturn, and Saturn fused with the profound Earth Devil marks. As such, the path of Ning Fan's body refinement seemed to have changed. It was no longer turning into a giant but condensing. It was no longer a combination of tens of punches. Instead, he condensed all of his fist intent into a single punch. He patted his storage pouch and took out the secret technique of second nascent soul that he had obtained from Milian. He shook his head gently. Having a lot of nascent soul realm cultivators doesn't necessarily mean that they have a wide range of abilities. Having a giant physical body doesn't necessarily mean that their strength can reach the heavens. There are as many techniques as there are clouds in the sky, but they might not be refined. Splitting one's mind into 2 tasks might result in the destruction of one's Tao. There is no strongest technique or ability in this world. There is only the ability that suits me the most. If Moksha Sovereign is a 10,000 zhang tall giant, I will be 8 chi tall. However, the strength of a single finger is enough to break all 10 of his fingers. The smallest body has the strongest aura and intent. However, it is still difficult to advance to the spirit-severing realm. There are thousands of nascent soul realm cultivators in the 3,000 floating islands in the external endless sea, but there are only 13 spirit-severing realm cultivators. Those who can form their nascent soul are all people with extraordinary aptitudes. However, not even 1 out of 100 of these geniuses can advance to the spirit-severing realm. Aptitudes are just external things after all. If you want to go further in this path of cultivation, you can only have the heart to compete with the heavens and earth. Ning Fan stood still for a long time. When his heart was as calm as still water, he went down the jade stairs and walked on the snow. In the room, the female corpse immediately put down her needle and thread. She hurriedly got up and followed behind Ning Fan. She was just a follower. Where are you going? To cure Miss Su Yao's poison. It might be inconvenient for you to follow me. I will. The female corpse firmly nodded her head. In the female room of the mysterious Emerald Palace, Su Yao leaned against the window and looked at the snow outside as if she was dreaming. Even though she was the sect master of the Green Jade Immortal Island, she had never stayed in the mysterious Emerald Palace before. This palace was the place where the Pleasure Devil sect welcomed Grand Cultivator Realm Old Monsters. She wore a long jade green gauze dress. Her slender arms were like jade and her delicate cheeks were propped up. Her light brows carried a hint of surprise. She always had a calm temperament, and was always calm in the face of changes. However, even a calm person like her could not help but be shocked when she saw the luxury of the room. The entire room was built with immortal bricks. At least 100,000 immortal bricks were used to build a room. Each immortal brick was cast with 10 pieces of immortal jade. A single room was worth 1 million immortal jade. The speed of cultivation in this room was extraordinary. The incense that was lit in the room was the cold aspen incense that cost 100,000 immortal jade. It was said to be able to purify one's heart devil and improve a cultivator's state of mind. Even the water used for drinking and bathing was pure spiritual liquid that was formed from spiritual qi. A cup of water was worth 10,000 immortal jade. She knew that the reason why she could enjoy such a grand reception was obviously because of Zhou Ming, a person who could make the Pleasure Devil sect go all out to befriend him. Zhou Ming is really an unfathomable person. What is the relationship between him and Sister Suqiu? Rumor has it that Zhou Ming has countless women and human cauldrons. However, Sister Suqiu is still a virgin. Speaking of which, I've made a vow that day. Judging from my identity, I've already become his human cauldron. Will he pluck me? If he plucks me, how should I commit suicide? Su Yao sighed gently. It was not easy for her to cultivate to the nascent soul realm. If she was plucked, she would not be willing. Moreover, losing her chastity was also painful. If it really comes to that, even though she would abide by her vow and serve Ning Fan with her body, she would still commit suicide after that. When she thought that Ning Fan was going to pluck her, the lust poison that Su Yao had temporarily sealed began to wreak havoc again. The falling chastity powder. Unless she had lost her virginity, how else could she get rid of it? Her originally indifferent face immediately became flushed. Her delicate body began to turn numb and soft and hot. Her cherry lips gently exhaled hot air that carried a delicate fragrance like that of sunflower. Under her dress, her slender legs were gently rubbing against each other. Traces of wetness stained her underwear. It was as if there was a magical force that was guiding her and tempting her. She could not help but reach out her slender hands. Her slender fingers lifted the hem of her dress and groped between her underwear. This is not right. Su Yao bit her lips and circulated her profound gate heart technique, trying to disperse the lust in her heart. However, the profound gate heart technique that was always effective against the heart devil could not completely disperse the lust of the fallen chastity powder. No. I am the dignified sect master of Bai Yao sect. How can I belittle myself like this? She leaned on the desk, feeling ashamed and resentful. In her opinion, self-defilement was something that only frivolous women would do. But what made her anxious was that she could no longer suppress this lust. Her slender hands could not help but need the tender, moist and creamy skin that was hard to resist. She let out a low groan. Her slender nails pierced through a small obstruction. Although it was not completely broken, a trace of blood flowed out along the tender skin. That pain made her eyebrows knit together and slightly sober up. However, Su Yao's face was full of self-mockery when she saw that she almost lost her chastity because of the lust poison. Have I fallen? She felt sorry for herself. She held the bronze mirror and looked at her bright red cheeks. She blamed herself inwardly. At this moment, Ning Fan and the female corpse arrived at the door. When they saw the beautiful scene in the room, the female corpse was calm, but Ning Fan immediately revealed a strange expression. It seems like I have come at the wrong time. I have disturbed Fairy Su Yao's private matter. Pa! The bronze mirror fell to the ground. Su Yao let out a soft cry and immediately stood up from the chair in a panic. Her underwear that reached her knees slid down with a trace of wet and blood stain. Zhou Ming. This is the women's room. You are a man, how can you enter? Don't you know how to knock on the door? Su Yao squatted down and used her long skirt to cover her jade-like legs. Her eyes were filled with anger and shame. Knock on the door. When Fairy Su Yao was doing this, you didn't close the door. Although it was in the women's room, it would still be bad if other female cultivators saw it. Fairy Su Yao, next time you do this kind of thing, it's better for you to close the door. There won't be a next time. Su Yao bit her lips faintly. The lust poison acted too suddenly. She was not willing to do it and didn't close the door and window. Moreover, she did not expect that Ning Fan, who had disappeared for a few days, would actually appear at her most vulnerable moment. I wonder if Ning Fan saw that if he sees it, I will really be too ashamed to show my face. When Su Yao thought that Ning Fan saw her shameful matter, her heart was in a mess. The lust poison that had finally stopped because of the piercing pain acted up again. She let out a moan and fell to the ground. Her hands once again tried to lift the hem of her skirt to do it. She closed her eyes in pain. If she does such a shameful thing in front of a man, she would rather die. The other party was Zhou Ming, a notorious pervert, in the external endless sea. If he saw me like this, he would probably take advantage of me. While she was panicking, Ning Fan frowned. He flicked his sleeves and closed the door and window. Then he said to the female corpse, "Wei Yang, you guard the door. I will cure her of the poison." Su Yao's eyelids trembled. Cure the poison. As expected, this Zhou Ming is going to do it with me. She felt her hand that was touching her lower body being caught by Ning Fan. Then, in her daze, she felt herself being carried up by someone lightly and placed on the bed. No. I haven't thought about it. At this moment, when Su Yao thought that she was going to lose her virginity and be plucked by Ning Fan, she burst into tears. At this moment, she was no longer the master of a sect. She was no longer a righteous cultivator, who disregarded everything for the righteous path. She was just a helpless woman. Did I say that I am going to pluck you? Ning Fan could not help but laugh. He flicked Su Yao's forehead with his finger and gave her a knock. There is no antidote for the fallen chastity powder. However, if you haven't pierced through the primordial red powder, there is still a way to cure it. On the other hand, even though it can cure the poison temporarily, the poison will imprint itself on your body and mind. There is no way to get rid of it anymore. It will turn a woman who has sacrificed her chastity into an adulterer. If I came a step later, you would be in danger even if you broke through the primordial red powder on your own. The primordial red powder was the membrane of a virgin. When Su Yao was in a daze, her jade-like finger pierced through a trace of the primordial red powder. However, as long as it was not completely destroyed, it would not be a problem. After Ning Fan searched through Mi Lian's memories, he found out that ordinary lust poisons could be neutralized by the acacia. However, this kind of lust poison was almost incurable. If there was no acacia, the person would die of lust. As for the acacia, the poison would seep into the bone marrow, causing the person to become a slave of lust. Mi Lian did not give Su Yao any chance to cure the poison when she planted it. Otherwise, Ning Fan could have just intercourse with her and easily neutralized the poison. This poison was incurable to ordinary people. However, the yin-yang locket could restrain the lust poison. It could neutralize this poison under the unbreakable body. Su Yao was a good woman. If she forcefully lost her virginity and the poison seeped into her bones, it would be too much of a pity. She could be considered as half a cauldron to him. Ning Fan naturally would not watch a heroine fall. Women had two mouths. If he couldn't neutralize the poison from below, he would have to neutralize it from above. Su Yao's consciousness was slightly blurred. She still thought that she was going to be plucked. She tried to push Ning Fan away with her weak arms. However, Ning Fan pressed her arms down and pressed her body down. He kissed her lips and tongue. Her delicate body trembled, and she regained her consciousness. When she saw Ning Fan trying to kiss her, she immediately panicked and clenched her teeth tightly. What should I do? With such close contact, the manly scent on Ning Fan's body made Su Yao's face hot. Are you more clear-headed now? Then cooperate with me to neutralize the poison. It's just a kiss. You don't need to lose your virginity. Really, Even though you are my cauldron, I will not hurt you when you are in trouble. Next time, I will come and find you when I pass by the Green Jade Immortal Island. Oh, Su Yao heaved a sigh of relief. She was glad that she did not lose her chastity today. However, when she thought that the next time Ning Fan passes by the Green Jade sect, she felt slightly worried. If it's just a kiss, Su Yao closed her eyes and no longer resisted. In her opinion, the aphrodisiac poison could only be cured by acacia, not to mention the powerful falling chastity powder. Zhou Ming, on the other hand, could have taken advantage of her when she was in a precarious position to take her virginity, but he only used a kiss to detoxify her. This kind of conduct was more than 10,000 times better than many well-dressed gentlemen. When he recalled that the other party was ultimately trying to cure him of the poison, It could be considered as the third time he had saved him. Su Yao's pretty face was unnatural, and her voice was as soft as a mosquito's buzz. Thank you. Next time, I will be mentally prepared and I will fulfill my promise. Really? Stick out your tongue. Oh, Su Yao's tender red tongue peeked out from her lips, revealing only the tip. She didn't know what sticking out her tongue had to do with detoxification, but she still did as she was told. However, in the next moment, her eyelashes trembled and she opened her eyes in panic. The tip of her tongue was sucked into Ning Fan's mouth. Whoa! An unprecedented panic rose in her heart. Amidst the panic, there was a comfort that he had never felt before. This feeling was called her first kiss. She, Su Yao, had never experienced it before. Her fragrant tongue seemed to have the fragrance of sunflower. Chapter 228. As their lips and tongues touched, the lust poison was sucked into his body and turned into nutrients for the yin-yang locket. After a long time, their lips parted. Ning Fan let go of Su Yao and wiped away the saliva at the corner of his mouth. He thought to himself that Su Yao's body was very fragrant. Rumor has it that sect master Su Yao cultivates the green lotus scripture, a wood attribute cultivation technique. She's able to exude the fragrance of a lotus without any makeup. She really does live up to her reputation. Oh! After being praised by Ning Fan, Su Yao did not know whether she should be angry or thank him. Due to the dissipation of the aphrodisiac, his weak body gradually regained its strength. However, Ning Fan's warmth still lingered on her cherry lips. When she thought of Ning Fan's detoxification technique, which allowed him to absorb poison into his body, she could not help but feel touched. The falling chastity powder was an aphrodisiac to women, but it was a deadly poison to men. Not to mention how Ning Fan absorbed the poison. Just the fact that he risked his life to save her was enough for Su Yao to repay him with her body. However, after all, they had just met a few times. It would be strange if she gave her heart to him so easily. However, he could not erase Ning Fan's figure from his mind. Thank you. She slightly propped herself up and tidied up her messy hair. Then, she gave Ning Fan a faint smile that resembled a green lotus. I didn't save people in vain. If you really want to thank me, wait until I go to the Bai Yao sect next time. Then you can show your sincerity. There's still a trace of residual poison in your body, but with your nascent soul cultivation base, it won't be difficult for you to refine and expel the poison from your body. Have a good rest. I still have something to do. I'll take my leave first. You're leaving? Su Yao subconsciously blurted out, but she immediately realized how inappropriate and ambiguous her words were. At this time and place, her words could even be misinterpreted as Su Yao wanting Ning Fan to stay here for the night. Just as she was about to explain, she realized that Ning Fan did not take it to heart at all. He smiled without saying a word. Suddenly, he picked up a piece of paper and a brush and wrote something on the table in front of the window. Then he held the female corpse, pushed the door open and left. Su Yao secretly heaved a sigh of relief. However, when she saw Ning Fan holding the female corpse's hand, she felt slightly disappointed. When Ning Fan arrived, she was somewhat afraid. After Ning Fan left, she began to worry about her gains and losses. When her palm touched her lips, she recalled that she had just been forcefully kissed by Ning Fan. Her cheeks immediately turned red. Does being kissed count as losing my chastity? Her mind was in a mess. She stood up and walked to the window. The stone seal was pressed against a piece of white paper. The words on the paper were sharp and full of vigor. His handwriting was excellent. Su Yao had cultivated for 700 years, and had met many people. She knew how to judge people by their words. Although it was just a short line of words, there was a trace of domineering spirit within them. This made Su Yao's eyes light up. Good writing. The words were very good, but the content made Su Yao blush, and she spat in annoyance. It's not a sin for a lonely woman to be blasphemous. It's not wrong for a woman to be selfish. Bah, I thought this Zhou Ming was a decent person, but his words were so indecent. He even said that a woman was not guilty of committing blasphemy. How could such a shameful thing not be a sin? He had indeed seen it. He said that the next time he comes to the Bai Yao sect, he wants me to thank him. Could it be that he wants me to repay him with my body? Su Yao's hands trembled slightly. She gently bit her lips and carefully kept the letter. Ning Fan quickly put the matter of Su Yao to the back of his mind. Compared to pleasing a woman, he had more things to do. With Yulong around, he didn't need to entertain the cultivators who came to visit him. His servants would take care of all these complicated formalities. He was in charge of cultivation and killing. There were still 7 days before the auction. Before that, he wanted to meet Su Rushan. The Earth Mother's heart could wait. If possible, he wanted to take all the human cauldrons in the auction for himself. If possible, it would be best if he could get his hands on the legendary Divine Transformation Realm Human Cauldron. After plucking a nascent Soul Realm Human Cauldron, one's magic power could be increased by 20 to 30 units. If one plucked a Divine Transformation Realm Human Cauldron, one's magic power could be increased by at least 500 units. With his current cultivation realm, devouring the green phoenix flame would reduce the loss of his magic power and increase his magic power by nearly 100 units. There should be a lot of pills that could increase one's nascent soul realm cultivation level in this vast Pleasure Devil Island. If everything goes smoothly, Ning Fan would be able to gather enough magic power to break through to the peak nascent soul realm. However, he still needed to discuss it with Su Rushan. Moreover, the earth vein of this Pleasure Devil Island had an abundance of metal spiritual power. It was the best place to cultivate the second finger of the sword finger. However, if he were to cultivate the second finger of the sword finger, the spiritual power of this Pleasure Devil Island would be greatly reduced. If he were to become Su Rushan's enemy, Ning Fan would definitely take it by force. Now that Su Rushan had treated him well, it was better for him to ask for his opinion. In the wind and snow, his pace was not fast, but he was like a ghost. There were even a few times when his body almost turned into green smoke. Every step he took felt like he was taking a stroll in the garden. However, every step he took would cause the green smoke to appear, and he would travel thousands of li. This kind of escaping technique was much better than teleportation. It was similar to the teleportation of spirit-severing realm cultivators. However, it was still quite a distance away from teleportation. The market, the guards of the outer island and the forbidden area of the inner island. After passing through all the defenses, none of the nascent soul realm experts could detect Ning Fan's presence. When Ning Fan's figure appeared on the peak of the extreme bliss mountain, the expression of the gold Dan guarding the mountain changed drastically. Who is it? The Gold Dan realm experts heaved a sigh of relief when they saw that the person was the person that Su Rushan had ordered to treat. They thought that the young man in front of them had a terrifying escaping technique. No one could detect his presence. Greetings, young Master Zhou. Old ancestor said that if young master comes, you can go straight to the inner palace. They knew that Ning Fan's surname was Zhou, but they didn't tell them that his full name was Zhou Ming. Ning Fan nodded and led the female corpse into the belly of the mountain. The peak of the extreme bliss mountain was a mountain of spiritual mines. It was 100,000 zhang tall. It was surrounded by black iron light, and there was a palace built on it. On both sides of the path, many magical treasures and weapons were stuck on the walls. This was the power of magnetism. The peak of the extreme bliss mountain was a palace, but it was also Su Rushan's natal magical treasure. This treasure could absorb almost all the weapons of the enemy with its magnetism. The magical treasures that were stuck on the walls were the weapons that Su Rushan had killed in the past. Ning Fan counted the number of supreme-grade magical treasures that were stuck on the walls. There were no less than 100 of them. In other words, at least 100 nascent soul realm cultivators had died in Su Rushan's hands. Su Rushan's attitude towards Ning Fan was gentle, but it was different from person to person. Ning Fan shouldn't have been born when Su Rushan killed so many people in the external endless sea. When they reached the depths of the mountain, the path suddenly split into more than 10 crossroads. Being inside the magnetic magical treasure, one's spirit sense would definitely be injured by the magnetic force. He looked around and saw a servant girl walking towards him. "Miss, may I ask?" Before he could ask for the way, the servant girl spoke first. "Young master, are you lost?" "Yes." "If that's the case, please follow me." The servant girl's eyes fell on the female corpse beside Ning Fan. She was amazed by the peerless beauty of the female corpse, but she also found it strange. Why did this young master bring a woman to the lady's appointment to admire the flowers? As for Ning Fan, he didn't think too much about it. He didn't ask where they were going, but the servant girl led the way herself. He just thought that this servant girl was arranged by Su Rushan to receive them. The path was full of twists and turns as if they were climbing a mountain path. When they reached the peak, the path immediately became clear. The fragrance of flowers greeted them. The dark and gloomy mountain path turned into a bright and beautiful garden. Pots of flowers and plants were naturally carved. There were strange herbs in the mortal world, immortal flowers in the cultivation world, and butterflies dancing in the air. Dozens of handsome young masters were talking about flowers and plants. They seemed to be very fond of them, but their eyes were filled with impatience. The sound of zither lingered in the air. In the depths of the path, there was a pavilion where a person was playing the zither. Two servant girls were standing gracefully, while a woman in light yellow robes was playing the zither with her eyes closed. Her expression was indifferent. Another profit seeker has come. Her spiritual sense was extremely sharp. She heard the footsteps of Ning Fan and the female corpse, but she didn't care about it. However, when she continued to listen, she realized that there were actually two footsteps coming from afar. One of them was light and graceful while the other had firm footsteps. They seemed to be a man and a woman. Which young master is so interesting? He actually brought a woman along to please father and arrange a marriage. Su Qiuling laughed, but her beautiful eyes did not open. She was still playing the zither. This place was Su Qiuling's personal garden. The other men were invited by Su Rushan to discuss marriage with Su Qiuling. If Su Qiuling liked any young master, she just needed to nod and Su Rushan would immediately arrange everything for her. However, Su Qiuling did not like any of them. If she had to say who she thought highly of, it would only be the young man who appeared in the marketplace without leaving his name. Miss, look. This new young master is quite handsome. However, it seems like he is already married. He even brought a woman with him. That woman is also very beautiful. Appearance is just like floating clouds. One will eventually grow old. Su Qiuling sighed softly. She did not open her eyes even after the servant girl praised the newcomer for being handsome. Miss is a spirit-severing realm expert. You have countless pills. How can you age? You will always be beautiful for the rest of your life. People don't grow old, but their hearts do. Their appearance does not change, but their hearts will change. People come for benefits and try to get close to me. When the benefits are exhausted, the kindness will be exhausted. Look at all the people who are admiring the flowers. Which one of them is like me? They are not interested in benefits but only love flowers. What they want is father's power. Speaking of which, why didn't the 7 sons of the external endless sea who yearn for father's power the most come? Miss, I heard that young Master Zhao, the young master of Xuanda sect, was killed among the 7 sons of the external endless sea. The other 6 left during the night. Bang! The string broke. However, after a while, she put away the zither and took out another one. She continued to play and said indifferently, "Is he dead?" Zhao Zijing looks refined, but his heart is sinister. Refined people can't survive in the external endless sea. Sinister people are just clowns without strength. It's not surprising that he died. However, who killed him? Also, is that young master implicated? Compared to Zhao Zijing, Su Qiuling was obviously more concerned about the young master whom she met by chance. However, the maidservant did not answer her. With her identity as a maidservant, it was impossible for her to know the inside story. Ning Fan did not know that Su Qiuling had already labeled him as a worldly young master, who fawned on the rich and powerful, without doing anything. He also did not know that he had been secretly remembered by Su Qiuling. Some women do not need to know your name. Just by admiring your demeanor, they will not let you down for the rest of their lives. Su Qiuling let out a faint sigh and started to sing while playing the zither. Her voice was soft and pleasant to the ears. Only when I open my eyes at night, repaying the fact that I have never frowned in my life. Behind the lamp and the moon, The shadow of the flowers. 10 years of track, 10 years of heart. Her voice carried a trace of regret that they did not know each other. When her voice resounded, each of the young masters immediately pricked up their ears, and their faces were filled with excitement. Could it be that Miss Su has fallen in love with one of us when she suddenly sang? Otherwise, with Miss Su's cold and aloof principle, she would definitely not sing with others. Even though her voice was pleasant to the ears, it did not arouse much emotion in Ning Fan. He was not a worldly person. However, most of the time he did not know how to read people's minds. Thus, he did not think that there was anything interesting about this garden that was filled with exotic flowers and plants. He also did not think that her voice, which was barely considered pleasant, was worthy of the excitement of so many young masters. At this moment, how could Ning Fan not know that he had gone the wrong way? The maidservant probably misunderstood him, and thought that he was here for a blind date with Su Qiuling. He had a good impression of this lady, but that was all. However, Ning Fan was not in a hurry to leave. Instead, he swept his gaze across the group of young masters, and found that there were no other 6 young masters of the external sea. Immediately, the corner of his mouth curved into a cold smile. Zhao Zijing is dead, but the other 6 young masters are not here. The reason why the 7 of them came all the way to the Pleasure Devil Sea was probably to please Su Qiuling. However, in the end one of them died and the other 6 escaped. Since the 6 of them did not come, they must have escaped. It was either Yan Zhongzi or Zhuotong. In short, there must be one of them who hurriedly escorted the 6 of them away, so that he would not get angry and kill the other 6 young masters. This was probably the reason why the 6 young masters of the external sea would flatter Su Qiuling in the future. His devil might seem to have even scared the divine transformation realm cultivators of the external sea, escorting the disciples to escape in the night. Interesting. He had already seen the flower and the person. There was no point in staying here any longer. He held the female corpse's hand and wanted to leave. However, the female corpse gently struggled and broke free from Ning Fan's hand. Then, she stretched out her delicate hand and plucked an orchid of the valley. The light black orchid of the valley let out a sad sound when the flower was broken. When the sound of the bell spread out, all the young masters' expressions changed. They were shocked to find out that there was actually a madman who dared to break Miss Su's favorite flower. Does he not want to live anymore? How dare you? Which family's disciple are you? How dare you let someone pluck Miss Su's orchid? Each of them looked at her with unfriendly gazes. However, the female corpse did not feel anything. She plucked the black orchid and put it on her hair. She only smiled at Ning Fan with pure expectation. Beautiful. Beautiful? She wanted to hear a definite answer. Beautiful. However, you are a little troublesome. Ning Fan stroked the female corpse's black hair and laughed. Plucking the flower. Su Qiuling's most precious flower. I wonder if she will turn into a lion and come looking for trouble with me. As if she heard the sad cry of the fallen flower, Su Qiuling stopped singing and playing the zither. She knitted her brows and opened her eyes. Which family's young master is so generous with his orchid? Just as she was about to scold him, she suddenly held back her words. The hidden bitterness in her eyes turned into surprise. It's you. It's you. Each of the young masters of the aristocratic families were waiting for Ning Fan to suffer. Moreover, when Miss Su saw Ning Fan, she did not blame him for plucking the flower. Instead, she felt a trace of pity for him. But when she saw Ning Fan's appearance, it turned into joy. Each of their hostile gazes fell on Ning Fan. Who is this person? It seems like he has successfully won Miss Su's heart. I'm sorry. Weiliang is insensible and broke your flower. Weiliang, is she your wife? What a nice name. Since she plucked it, I won't say anything. But young master, could it be that you came to Qiuling's flower tomb too? Could it be that he's here to discuss marriage with me? These words were too embarrassing. Su Qiuling could not say it out loud. But there was a hint of melancholy and sweetness in her heart. The sweetness was because the unfamiliar young master that she was worried about had appeared. The disappointment was because the young master actually came with his wife. Weiliang, She can be considered as my wife. Ning Fan's eyes were filled with nostalgia. If it wasn't for the female corpse, he might have died in Ning City. Since he had ruined her innocence, he had to be responsible for her wife and child. The female corpse pointed at herself. Her beautiful eyes were filled with confusion. Obviously, she did not understand the meaning of the word wife. Wife. Her confusion made Ning Fan feel a little sorry for her. He stroked her black hair and became even more determined to find her 3 souls and 7 spirits for her. Then he turned to Su Qiuling and said, "I'm sorry. I'm not here to attend your marriage. I just got lost." Puffed. Su Qiuling covered her face with her sleeves and could not help but laugh. When she heard that Ning Fan was not here to ask for her hand in marriage, she felt a little disappointed. However, this was right. If he came to ask for her hand in marriage but brought his wife along with him, it would be considered as a kind of blasphemy to Su Qiuling. She would be even more disappointed. When she heard that Ning Fan said that his surname was Zhou, she secretly remembered it. So this young master's surname is Zhou. As for hearing that Ning Fan got lost, it was completely beyond Su Qiuling's expectation. This young master Zhou doesn't seem to care about his embarrassment at all. He's really a strange person. "Young master, where do you want to go? Why don't you let Qiuling bring you there personally? In case you get lost again in this extreme happiness summit, and enter the boudoir of those young mistresses. If that happens, you will incur my father's wrath. Please excuse me. It seems like you're condescending to lead the way for me." Ning Fan smiled faintly. This lady is really interesting. "It's all right. Little Ling, send the guest off." She gave an order to a servant girl indifferently. From the beginning to the end, she did not even look at the other young men. It was as if Ning Fan was the only man who could make her pay attention to him. Each of the young men from the aristocratic families originally came here to ask for her hand in marriage. However, they were chased away by Su Qiuling with a disdainful attitude. Naturally, they were extremely dissatisfied. When they saw the dignified young mistress of the Su family actually condescending to lead the way for a man and work as a servant girl, these young men naturally felt extremely jealous. Why? Why is it that this man is rewarded after he broke the young mistress's flower and angered her? "My friend, do you dare to tell me your name?" A few of the most domineering young masters asked sternly. "You don't want to know my name because the last person who asked for my name, Zhao Zijing, is already dead. As for those of you who want to follow in his footsteps, please go ahead." Hiss. Each of the young men from the aristocratic families had a drastic change of expression after hearing Ning Fan's indifferent words. They had more or less heard about the violent death of Zhao Zijing, the young master of the profound virtue sect, one of the 7 disciples of the external endless sea. Moreover, the news of the death of a dignified young master was almost sealed off by the 10 sections. None of them revealed the identity of the murderer. It was enough to show that the murderer either had a powerful background or extremely powerful strength. Could the murderer be this young man in front of them? If it's him, how could we offend such a person? Each of the young men who were arrogant just now shut their mouths after hearing Ning Fan's words. It was better this way. It saved them the trouble of killing a group of kittens and puppies. Su Qiuling's small mouth opened slightly. She did not expect that Ning Fan, who had always been gentle and refined, was actually strong enough to kill Zhao Zijing. She did not think that Ning Fan was lying, and she also did not think that killing someone in the external endless sea was a crime. In a place like this, one would either kill or be killed. This was the helplessness of the cultivation world. However, if Ning Fan could kill Zhao Zijing, his cultivation base should at least be at the mid-nascent soul realm. She recalled that she did something unnecessary to erase Zhao Zijing's spirit sense imprint for Ning Fan secretly. She recalled that she also reminded Ning Fan to be careful when he was in the external endless sea. She recalled that she tried to move Ning Fan with 10,000 immortal jade. If Ning Fan is at the mid-nascent soul realm, everything that she did would be a joke in his eyes. Her cheeks turned red, and she felt a little ashamed. "Young master, you really hit it well." "Not as well as Miss. This place is called the Flower Tomb. It's not the burial of flowers, but..." "Don't say it." Su Qiuling's eyes turned red. She held back her sadness and smiled faintly. Young master is indeed Qiuling's bosom friend. To be honest, this place is indeed as you have imagined. Yes, I, Su Qiuling, do not have long to live. Yes, this flower tomb is prepared for me to bury myself. He actually saw through it. He is indeed my bosom friend who I have been waiting for a long time. However, he appeared too late. Miss, aren't you going to lead the way for me? Ah, I forgot about it. Sorry for my rudeness. May I know where young master wants to go? Other than the ladies' chambers, Qiuling is willing to bring young master to the place where my father keeps his treasures and pills. Oh? Ning Fan laughed. Why does this Su Qiuling resemble Lan Mei so much? They have met a few times and she is actually willing to bring me, a stranger, to the treasure vault of Su Russian's pill chamber to search for treasures. People say that a woman's heart is always on the outside. However, I have not even told Su Qiuling my real name. This woman's impression of me has increased too quickly. Interesting girl, isn't she? I have something to discuss with Senior Su. Please take me there. This? Su Qiuling frowned. She seemed to be in a difficult position. Is it difficult? No, that's not it. However, it seems like my father is going to receive a distinguished guest today. This person is a ferocious devil from the outer endless sea. He has killed countless people and raped countless women and women. His methods are cruel and unforgivable. Young master, when you meet this person later, you must be careful not to offend him. Otherwise, even if you are a mid-nascent soul realm cultivator, you will. Thank you for your concern, Miss Qiuling. I won't forget it. Ning Fan did not know whether to laugh or cry. Was his reputation that bad? When Su Qiuling heard Ning Fan calling her name, her face immediately turned red. He called my name. Under the envious gazes of countless youths, Ning Fan and Su Qiuling went to the inner palace from the belly of the Tower of Bliss. That was the forbidden area of the forbidden area, the place where Su Russian cultivated in seclusion. Ordinary people were not allowed to enter. Since Ning Fan had gained Su Qiuling's favor, he was allowed to enter. As for them, they would be chased out of the Peak of Bliss. However, they did not dare to resent Su Qiuling or Ning Fan. The former was the daughter of a divine transformation realm expert, while the latter was a ruthless person who claimed to have killed the 7 sons of the outer endless sea. They could not afford to offend either of them. That you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.